Peace, reader. I was born on the mountaintop. By now, if you've been walking with me, you should know what that means. If you don't know, you may refer to my scroll recap. Just how many calls have rung out, I ask you, from time's first breath to this warping moment? Does the number dawn or rise on you at all, that of the souls who sprawled through this plane? How many have come? How many had the knowing to explore relentlessly the opportunities surrounding their ascensions? Through the wide gates that light traveled, and how many are trapped in its bipolar gravity? What is meant by this? Here, this is the realm that we exist in as of now. There are, at the poke of the mountain, at the peak of the pyramid, is where I was perceived, and it is where I was birthed. Pure purple light, and more will be revealed that, as you can see, the base of the pyramid is red. There, at the base, is where most souls enter into this life realm. To no fault of their own, most are born into sin. They are not formed through the activation of the crown portal, nor the first eye portal, nor any of the lower portals, save the root portal. These portals are commonly known as chakras. They are areas of vitality. A blow to either of these portals can prove to be fatal. Life of the human being dances in and out of these seats, expressing itself as a spectrum of nerves and electricity. Those few who are born on the mountaintop are those few who will not mesh well with the hindquarters of the life realm beast. They will surely be equipped with the know-how as far as navigating that fierce world, but they are not of it. And navigating it at all, if it were not for their mission to transform its light, would serve them not. When people encounter these elite beings, they are programmed to know for sure that these beings are not from their world. These elites will have a watery scent to them. They will want to make friends with those born in sin, and may even go as far as attempting to be one of the sin-born. These attempters will flock to two opposing sides of the reality of the attempters. One side is such. They will be extremely successful when it comes to the mimicking of the sin-born, and may even try to convince themselves that they are amongst relatives. They will never, ever truly feel that way. The other side is such. They will fail to emit enough amber or ember glow, and the sin-born will subjugate them, isolate them, exploit them, and destroy them. The sin-born outnumber the high-born, yet the high-born are far more powerful than the sin-born. A single high-born is birthed with the ability to either destroy, neutralize, or adopt about 999 sin-borns all by themselves. That number may possibly increase depending upon the position of the highborn on the life realm spectrum, as well as the highborn integral level. The integral level, or the soul scale, is that which measures how much risk a highborn has or does not have of losing their soul. A highborn with integral levels above 6.0 is more apt to be able to survive the bipolar gravitational vortex. Thought tips the scale. This is why it's important to do as the title encourages: protect the crown. Pay close and active attention to your thoughts. Be aware of the status of your brain. Know your place in this life realm. Take the time out to go in and find where the dot or center of focus is in your mind or brain. Who are you? Are you a sin-born or a high-born? Do you know? I know, yet I am not in a position to know for you. My first name, Omari, does have its rare meaning as highborn. I am a highborn, and I did travel into the depths of the life realm, and I've seen the wide gate through which the sin-born enter. I also grappled with the bipolar gravity that the base of the life realm possesses. I feel for those who are caught up in that vortex. Do they even know? Let me explain to you about that vortex. The bipolar gravity vortex of the pyramidal life realm is a dual force vortex that rests at the foundation of this existence. At the pyramid's base, when new souls enter into this reality, they are drawn in by an overwhelming gravitational force. That force has its alias as the weight of earthly experiences, desires, and attachments. Most become too tethered into the fabric of that force to get out. As soon as the sinborn come into this life realm, they are caught in the wave of its belly. The pull of this vortex is paradoxical, countered by an upward force, creating a perpetual cycle of descent and ascent. As the new souls enter, they find themselves trapped in a relentless struggle, while they are inexorably pulled down into the depths of the life realm. The same force simultaneously compels them to rise, yet never break free. Only those who enter through the top of the pyramid, those who are the highborn, possess an innate essence that allows them to break free from the belly of the beast. These souls are characterized by their heightened awareness and connection to higher realms of existence. Highborn, this is not your home, this lost world. Unlike those who begin their journey at the base, these privileged few are birthed with the seed of the awareness of the importance of the transcendence of the base instincts and attachments that bind them to the material world. When they traverse the vortex at the pyramid's base, they are able to harness their unique energy to navigate the dual forces at play, and this allows them to ascend despite the power of that gravitational pull. This does not mean that the sinborn are doomed. Sinborn, the first step to escape is to know that you have been trapped. One cannot escape whilst moving at a constant rate. One must accelerate. Move quickly because you are running out of time. It begins in your brain. Just as thought tips the integral level scale of the highborn, it also tips the redemption scale of the sinborn. Whichever or whoever you are, keep an eye on your scale, just like you should be keeping an eye on that clock. It is your responsibility to become an avid weight watcher. Keep the phonetics. Weight, W-E-I-G-H-T, and weight, W-A-I-T. Weight, W-A-I-T, deals with time. You have to adjust your thoughts accordingly and do not commit the error of thinking you have time. No. N-O. No. K-N-O. That you only have mind, not time. What is meant by having time is that you are able to lag and drift without suffering the consequences. You don't have time in that way. Your brain and its state reveals your destiny/fate. Your brain is your crown. What is your crown worth, and when and why? What type of crown is required to ascend? Know that anyone can put on a crown, yet if the crown must be real gold, in order for its possessor to be allowed through the gates of life, then any old crown will not do. Place the state of your brain in your own hands and protect that state. Protect the crown. We, the few and true, have traveled through the green light, into the blue light, into the purple/violet light, and the arc of the new world has been drawn with that great pen once again. The arc has been illustrated with gracefulness. All that remains in this moment is the great decision. Where will you exist? I tell you the truth that at this very point, especially if you have been traveling alongside me for years or even months, and or if you've read even one of my books, and or if you've heard my teachings, and or my music, and or if you took heed when I stood tall on the mountain and I screamed the tones of Malachi Zodek York, and I raised my pinky and pointed upward, and you heard and you heeded and you headed in that direction, even one step's worth, you must be in the know that there will be acceptable utterance of "I didn't know" from you. Okay. You must be in the know. Let me start over. I tell you the truth that at this very point, especially if you have been traveling alongside me for years or even months, and or if you've read even one of my books, and or if you've heard teachings, and or my music, and or if you took heed when I stood tall on the mountain and I screamed the tones of Malachi Zoduk York, and I raised my pinky and pointed upward, and you headed in that direction, even one step worth, you must be in the know that there will not be acceptable utterance of "I didn't know" from you. Truly, you knew before you feel. And for what reason did I do so? Some have argued it to be for clout or personal gain. Some have foolishly asserted that my plight is based on money. Many have suggested plenty against me. To you and they, I say that it doesn't make sense to believe or receive that I have only come for money or clout or attention. It is not hard to see that I am very wise and intelligent in various areas. If it were a money and attention thing, then I could have easily signed up to play with the countless soldiers of Satan. It would not have been complicated at all for me to actually be a deceiver or a grifter or a swindler or a schemer or a skimmer or a scammer. Why would anyone with those intentions willingly decide to take a more difficult route? That doesn't add up. The music industry / Hollywood doesn't favor truth speakers, so with my wit and wisdom, I decided to speak the truth in order to join them. These so-called conscious community leaders and spiritual leaders have a strong dislike for Malachi Zoduk York. So, with my smarts and soundness, I decided to promote Malachi Zoduk York in order to join them. Again, it doesn't make sense. The real reason for my reaching out to remind as many as I can is because I care. There were times when I didn't want to care because the burden was heavy on me, and it has never been easy. The aims were most often unlikely. I still went for it because I saw it to be important enough to do so, and I will keep on with the keeping on until my expiration here. And yes, there may be some who will still cast stones at my grave. Let them be. Let them be. It won't be your speaking in my defense alone that will protect this motion. It will be your will to apply whatever was found to be important enough for you to apply in your efforts to help make things here in this life realm more favorable for those who find themselves birthed into it. This goes on until it's over. I was not an infallible man. I was not an event of vitality. I was not an infallible man. I was an event of vitality. That's what I mean. I was not an infallible man. I was an event of vitality. Look into my eyes and you will see no lies. Let's speak more about the sin-born and the vortex they are conceived into. So, know it so that those who are sin-born are those who are born into a trap, and that trap is the lower part of the pyramidal life realm. The lower part has its own shape. This is a shape that appears when one separates the capstone from the rest of the pyramid. This is the trapezoid. It's all in the word, trap. trapezoid. Imagine that the capstone is the sound mind, the mind that thrives only when its possessor is actively engaged in the utilization of willpower. The power of will illuminates the sound mind, showing forth that analogical glow of the capstone. Okay. It is the acceptance and the awareness of choice that sparks the sound mind. There is choice in its state of stillness. There is choice in its state of stillness. Potential choice. And then there is made choice in its state of activation. Kinetic choice. The made choice is not subject to righteousness inevitably. Made choice may be right or not right. The glow doesn't come from the rightness of choice, nor does it come from the not rightness of choice. It comes from the awareness of the choice make that will eventually become the made choice. Do you see it clearly? The capstone is the steering wheel of the being. It must, however, be functional and potent enough to produce that glow, or there cannot exist a great house or a lighthouse. A house with no functional capstone may as well have no capstone at all. With no functional capstone, which is not a capstone at all, so it is removed. One is left with that which resembles a table with nothing atop it. This is the trap. Those who were of the said to be satanic foundational magic circle called the Order of the Trapezoid were and still are aware of this fact. Have a look at the image above. This is expressed to be a symbol of the Order of the Trapezoid. You were able to visualize in this image the pulling in of souls through the base of the trapezoid that go on to be trapped in an apparent vortex system. Oh, that's a question. That's me. Have a look at the image above. This is expressed to be a symbol of the Order of the Trapezoid. Are you able to visualize in this image the pulling in of souls through the base of the trapezoid that go on to be trapped in an apparent vortex system? Notice and observe the pitchfork, and you will see that even they, the sin-born, are able to stay on the straight path towards life. Look closely, and you will see that the arrow is pointing towards the center of an X. Above that X is a spiral, a 6. If and when the sin-born arrives at that crossroad, they must overcome that spiral. If they fail to, even if they obtain their capstone, they will not be able to activate it, and that spiral will eventually drag them back down. That 6 is the lust force. That drive to satisfy the flesh in any way is the same drive that can drive even the highborn into the depths of the life realm. Be cautious of it and transform accordingly. More on the trapezoid's tabletop. Remember that those who overstand or stand over high enough to see the top of the table are in much more of a favorable spot than those who understand or stand under too low to see the tabletop. Ask the understander about that which is atop the table, and what about that can they answer of truth, having no ability to view those things. See that they possess not even the right height necessary to reach and feel that which is being asked about in that higher plane, which is the tabletop. That necessary height would have at least allowed them to employ the idea of faith, not sight, to a degree of utility, as the objects would, at the very least, be within their reach. Faith without works is surely dead, and I question you, reader, what amount of work is required to wonder? To reach or raise in any manner requires work. And what work or works can they do in this way? They who are too low to even reach and grab that which is hidden. Their wonder requires the same amount of work that is required to slumber. They are allowed to believe, and there are some who stand over high enough with the sufficient viewpoints who can see what is on the table. They can taste and feel what is on the table. They know the origins of the scents that stream from the foods and beverages. They may tap their forks, spoons, or knives on any dish or tableware they choose to test the soundness of these. They, many of these overstanders, high seaters, etc., occupy seats of dictatorship. They may drop crumbs to feed the ocean of low seaters beneath them, but never enough to fulfill them. How then might they gather enough energy to complete their soul journey, that climb to stand where the overstanders stand? Who dares to break the spell of the trapezoid? Who dares to shapeshift? And know it so that just as the evildoers can trap beings, so can the do-gooder. And know it is so that just as the evildoers can trap beings, so can the good doers trap beings. They, the good doers, are able to trap the evildoers.
It's all right. Yeah, I think that was 14.
Yeah.
What y'all think? What you think so far?
Well, I'm in alignment with it because some of what I heard and was already thinking earlier, or yesterday, is in this book.
Mm-hmm. All right, y'all. Protect the Crown will be coming out within the next few hours. Meaning, like, that's when it'll be a PDF form. And y'all should be getting it today in your emails. So those of you who already sent funds in for the books before this point, I'm just going to group this one in with y'all. Like, if you haven't received your book within the past week, I'm just going to group this one in so you don't got to send nothing twice. And for all of y'all who want that book, you send something to this Cash App right here. I'm going to show you. The one I just pinned where it says, Play for Change, send donation and email. Make sure you put your email with it. It's going to be, how many, was it, book 17 officially?
17.
So there'll be 17 books I'll be sending you. All right? So whatever you send it for the 17 books. It could be $1, it could be $50, $100, $1,000. Whatever, however much you want to put. And put your email with it. All right? So you'll be getting that. We'll be focused on making sure y'all get it within this day. All right? So, and anybody who, within the next 2 days after this, you're like, well, where my book? You know, I didn't get my book. Make sure you check in your spam folder. And again, make sure whatever you send to that Cash App, send your email with it so that I can send you all the books. All right? Okay. So I think that should be clear. But this book is called Protect the Crown. I think we just read 14 pages. It's 74 pages in all. So you saw how much that was. We got 74 pages of that and more detailed breakdowns, showing you certain signs with like what's happening with the swastika, a lot of things, the signs of the skating rink, all kind of things. Like I didn't put the wasp in this one. I literally broke it down into another one. The wasp didn't get in it. I didn't put a lot of things in this one. Well, it'll be room for another book. Put other sciences in it. But I'm telling you, what's in here is perfect. Because when I was like, okay, I think this will be where we stop it at, I looked and realized I was on page 74. So that's a very divine number, especially for me growing up. And my favorite chapter out of El Quran. And yeah, so it's GD as in God, the G-D, or the 74, the 704, the holy number. So I was like, okay, well, this is finished. All right, so, yep, protect the crown. Here it comes. All right, any questions? Anybody got any questions? Any questions from anybody? It's all right. Grab you something to drink. Whoever asked me that question about intrusive thoughts, I put some of that answer in the book. I love this book. It's like water. It got some good images in it too. I spoke about Nebuchadnezzar. If you're not familiar with Nebuchadnezzar, you would be after reading this book. And the science of Nebuchadnezzar, which means to protect the crown, by the way. A lot of things I brought up that I know people weren't really speaking about or teaching about. But they were revealed to me. I figured them out. So I gave it to y'all. What's up with the Immaculate Conception? Well, if you look at the Immaculate Conception scientifically, you'll find what's referred to as artificial insemination. So there may not be much on Immaculate Conception. If you talk to the Christians and the Christian church pastors, especially people, reverends, they're not really going to have much on how the Immaculate Conception would have even came to be. All they would know about or believe would be that God made it happen by way of a miracle. So if God made it happen by way of a miracle is the scientific way to save lives, how people are able to, save lives in this day and time, then that's one thing. But because it's not, people are met with the challenge of actually explaining it. So just like I was trying to tell the other guy who got on here, I was like, yo, y'all are looking at the wrong thing. Y'all look for conspiracy terms or religious terms to explain things that they are explaining. You just have to know where to look. If you're looking up chemtrails, you're going to find a market of people, and I'm saying that word on purpose, a market of people who are flooding the internet with misinformation because they heard somebody say, imagine how many times people done got on here and said something that they thought was true because it was conspiracy theory and they wanted to believe it. And I asked them a question about it. You realize they don't know anything about it because it's easy to just watch a video. It ain't like the internet is blocked off and everything is checked and made sure. You know what I mean? The only time they ran fact check programs when it was political. See, you don't even see that like that no more. Even though they made a comeback for a while, but then they disappeared again. But again, that's because politics was booming. You see what I'm saying? So they don't have it where somebody could put something out and they're like, no, that's not true. Let's make sure we get the facts. And, so looking at stuff like Immaculate Conception is similar. You look up artificial insemination, you'll realize that there's a whole procedures that these scientists and these doctors are talking about that they've been able to go through to place a baby in the womb. It is not only in Mary's or Maryam's situation that it occurs. You also have it happening with Rebecca. You had it happen with Bactanos, all right? And you had it happen with Sarah. Sarah had an Immaculate Conception. There are multiple people throughout the scriptures and throughout these books and holy books and religious texts that were said to have been either too old, infertile, or whatever was the case, and they weren't supposed to be able to naturally have children. But then what happened was what? Something happened. They said the gods made a move and the people had children. When it was Enoch having a conversation with Lamech out of Lamech's scroll, Enoch had to explain that to the guardian, that the guardians had a hand in Baptinosis conceiving a child. So Lamech was gone. He wasn't even in the home. He like, how is she pregnant? And I've been gone 11 months and here comes this baby. You know what I mean? And they were trying to explain. These were the guardians. The guardians inseminated her. They got her pregnant. So what does that mean? You know what I mean? What do you mean the guardians? That's not how that even works. Okay, genetically, it ain't no two men that are going to come and lay with a woman and there's one child that comes out of the two men. You understand? That's not how that happens. Well, what could happen is there's a team of scientists. You understand that? Some people call them the Elohim, the Elohim, or the Neter, or the Agdoad, however you want to refer to them as, if there's a team of scientists that go around doing things scientifically, which is what the whole book of Genesis is about, a whole bunch of scientific experiments, some of them went wrong, some of them went right. If God has to say, yo, I look at the land and I see the land is good, then there was a possibility for the land to be bad, and God had to make sure that the land was good. You understand? And they never were able to say for sure that human beings were good or that man was good, right? So I think it was very evident that they weren't. But the point is, there were a lot of scientists that were active in that day and time. Okay? I'm not saying they're not active now, because you got scientists active now. It's just that they're not flying around in the burning chariots that you hear about in the Bible, but they do fly around in planes and, you know what I mean, regular vehicles that they drive around, you know, and they scientists and they do some of the same miracles that you observe in the Bible. When it said that God put Adam to sleep, they can do that in the hospital now. You know what I mean? Taking somebody out of somebody's rib or taking genetic information out of a rib to form another human being and cloning them. They can do that now. They can do that with stem cells of growing your nose. They can grow somebody's nose on their head. All right, etch it out and then put a new nose on top. They grew their own nose out of their own skin. You see what I'm saying? They grow organs out of 3D printers, stuff that would have seemed so impossible at one point in time. Now mankind is doing what the gods of the Bible, or Elohim or Elo, God in the Bible, was doing. It's undeniable. Now they could say they're not doing miracles. They're just doing the devil's thing. The devil should not be able to do what God can do. You understand? If listen, same way Pharaoh was able to turn his staff into a snake, and you ask him, how was the Pharaoh able to do it? He said, he used the devil's magic. The devil shouldn't have no magic. It should only be God that has that ability. No, you're talking about alchemy and science and chemistry and biology and knowing how things work and why they work. You see what I'm saying? So even if they are playing God, well, it seems that they're playing God successfully, because they're looking through the book. Right? They do that, by the way. The scientists look through the Bible and see how much they can match. Okay? Physicists read the Quran to see how much they can match and learn about. The Quran has so much in it. Al-Quran has so much in it that's based on quantum physics that they actually go look at what I'm telling you, by the way, because everybody think I'll just be talking for some reason. I don't know why. But go look at what I'm telling you, and they'll tell you that. They say, yeah, this book, Quran, is quantum in nature. It's not a regular book. It can't be a regular book. Some extraterrestrial came from outside of the Earth's atmosphere and told this man all these sciences and the types of weapons they had, the blast that they used to destroy Sodom and Gomorrah. All this, talking about all these stories, right? When you read it, all of these stories were like advanced technologically. It was always something happening that was like, yo, how would that have happened if there weren't present advanced technology? And then here's how you get them. Not saying you want to get them, but if they get a little testy with you, here's how you get them. So you're going to tell me that mankind has atomic bombs? Mankind has hydrogen bombs and stealth bombers, and mankind has cell phones and Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, and mankind has all these intercontinental ballistic missiles and all kinds, and God don't have that? You mean to tell me God is out technologized by human beings? And then they have to think about it like, yeah, you can't tell me that God was going around snapping his fingers doing stuff. That's not how it worked. When God needed a message to get somebody, he would send angels. He would send extraterrestrial angelos, messengers, who came out of the earth into the earth. When God was in heaven, observe Genesis chapter 11. When God was in heaven, he said, yo, we got to go down there and stop mankind from being able to reach us. It never said in the Bible that it would be impossible for mankind to reach God. It said that if God didn't, it showed that if God didn't go down to intervene, then mankind would have been able to reach God. They literally said because they were one people operating off of one language, which is science, okay, then nothing was impossible for them, meaning overthrowing God, mutiny in the heavens. Nothing is impossible for a group of people who come together on one language. They saw that to be so threatening that they decided to confuse everybody. It says in the Bible that whoever these guys were came down to confuse everybody, and they telling me I'm confused, but they're following a book that clearly states that a part of the mission of God was to confuse everybody so that you can't find the truth. So whoever this God is doesn't want you to reach them. Not unless you would have been deemed worthy. And they don't deem Nimrod and the rest of his people worthy. They didn't deem the people before the flood worthy, right? They thought Noah was worthy, his generation. They said he was perfect in his generation. That was incorrect, because if he was perfect in his generation, if he was Tamim, right, they wouldn't have been able to have sin board the ark or whatever vehicle he had to be shown how to build. Remember, they said Elohim. They had to show him how to build the ark. Whatever it was, he couldn't have known how to build that craft by himself. And they said that craft hovered above the earth. And they want you to think it was some rain clouds that came out. All of these depictions be false and made up. They said the windows of heaven opened up. Tell me the last time the sky opened up and it rained. They said the windows of heaven opened up and this plane was flooded and all life was destroyed. Okay, clouds raining. Okay, it flooded. They telling y'all there was some weapons that they don't even know nothing about. So they just have to say it the best way they can. But clouds rain water, not outer space. Outer space doesn't rain water. You see what I'm explaining to you? And you would have been able to tell me that it was just some water if there were no assertion that it came from outside of the plane. But if there's a weapon that comes from outside of the plane and it's cracked open and it's released on the planet and it wipes everybody out, I know what that is. That could be a plasma bomb. That could be a nuclear weapon, a thermonuclear weapon. There's so many different types of weapons that people spoke about in certain books, like the secret science or occult science, or certain groups of people that talked about miracle weapons. Those same people went on to try to exterminate whole races of people, you know what I'm saying? Because they were fighting for the arms race and everything before it became that. And, and then they just disappeared. And they want you to think them people just left or that they committed suicide. Them people living in the middle of the planet. They living in caverns and cities inside of Earth, still trying to perfect their technology. They living past the certain passages or land masses in Antarctica. They have bases out there. They got bases in Nevada. They still here. They didn't go anywhere. You know they didn't go anywhere because they just paid a homage to a group of them that aligned with them when they sent them 6 women up there and made that statement that the Ishtar command is very alive and well and present on the planet. The same Ishtar command that was in cahoots with beings like the tall whites and the Nordics and the Aldebaran and the rest of these people. I'm trying to tell you something. So, again, mankind has been given weaponry and advanced technology, secrets that they were not supposed to know. Al-Quran, Surah 2, 102. All right, whoever these angels were who were coming down here, giving people technology that and secrets, eternal secrets, they said, that mankind wasn't even supposed to know. They didn't want y'all to know science. They didn't want you to know chemistry. They kept that literally hidden from people. You with me? So again, when you got stories of God coming to do a thing, he didn't come alone, or he sent other beings to do the things for him. And these were extraterrestrial beings who came into the planet, right? God sends his only begotten son into the world. All right. The reason why they saying begotten is they saying that this person came by way of or by sanction of this person. But does that even make sense? Think about what I'm asking you. Because God can't conceive a child by himself, or he would have never used the Blessed Mother Mary. Marianne would have no part of the story, would she? He can't conceive anybody by himself. He still had to use a vessel. He still had to use a mother in order to create the physical flesh being, whoever this being would have been, to use. So if you're telling me that God was born into sin or born into a flesh world, flesh body, all right, how do we know that? Because Jesus, or Isa, went to go get baptized, right? He went to go get baptized. And John was like, yo, why would I need to baptize you? Right? I should be coming to you to get baptized. And what Jesus said, he said, we're here to do my Father's will, not our will. We're here to do, because there are more advanced sciences at play. He still needs to get baptized because he carries a body. When they bring Jesus into the desert and say, yo, he was there to get what? I didn't write it. They wrote it. They said, tempted. You can tempt God. God can be tempted. You see what I'm explaining? Then they'll say, oh, but he didn't go for it. Yeah, but he was still tempted. He was still questioned. He was still literally led to the desert to meet with this being. You see what I'm explaining to you? So even with that, you have to deal with the fact that they talked about Jesus not wanting to die. That when he found out that the burden was heavy on him, how heavy the burden was, he was sorrowful. He was alone in his sorrows. Listen, he was alone in his sorrows. He was sad on to the point of death. You ever been that sad? You understand? Now, you have people sad enough they want to take themselves out of here. I don't know nobody that was just sad and they were like, you know what, and they just checked out by just being sad. He was sad even up to the point of death. Said that when he was praying and begging and beseeching his father, Abba, he called out. Abba, I don't know what they talking about, Jesus, God. He called out and said, yo, take this from me, but only if it's in your will. You understand what I'm explaining to you? Meaning there was another higher chief or commander at play. It was not him. Simple. But he cried. He was sad about it. You understand? So if he really wanted to die, there would be no reason to cry. You know, unless he's crying for joy, and that's not what they said. So don't let them try to play that. He wasn't crying for joy. He was crying out in agony. He didn't want to be killed. So he asked to be what? Yeshua. He asked to be his name. He asked to be rescued. He asked to be saved. And you're going to tell me God turned his back on him. No, God didn't turn his back on him. That don't even make sense. You send out a call to somebody that's a part of your fleet and say, come get me out of here. And they have all the resources to do so, and they don't get you out of here. No, they got him out of there. And there's so many things that point toward that. So to answer your question, the Immaculate Conception is what you will refer to as artificial insemination, planting DNA into the egg. You understand that? You don't need the father to be present. So a lot of the women were not sexually touched, right, to conceive certain people. And one of those people is Jesus. Ask these people, ask your pastor, were there any other people that gave birth through what you refer to as Immaculate Conception? And if he's being truthful, he'll have to say yes. Right? But they don't want to promote that because they're trying to market and make products out of and turn it to a business and monetize Jesus Christ or Jesus El Messiah, Jesus the Messiah. That's a market. That's a business. So to highlight any of the other prophets and what they did and all that, to pay attention to their sacrifices and how people were giving their life for other people before Jesus, you know what I'm saying, gave his life for anybody, if that's what would have been a part of that story. John was giving his life. Everybody was in their own way signing up to give their life and sacrifice and face potential death. You understand? So that was all the prophets did that. But they highlight in Jesus. But again, the reason why they highlight in Jesus is so they can push the the sacrificial parts of the religion. It's all about sacrifice and blood and somebody bleeding out and drink my blood and eat my flesh and all that other stuff. That comes with the Jesus story. You see what I'm saying? And if you really pay attention, the Jesus story or the Isa story is less about sacrifice. It's more about salvation. You know what I'm saying? It's not even so much about sacrifice. It's more about get yourself out of here. It's about to go down. You see what I'm saying? And it's so quick how these things are panned out. Look at how fast 2,000 years have gone by. If you think about it, look at how fast, how old you are. It would seem like your time was long, right? I'm 26 years old. Look how fast this has gone by. And only in this moment is it hard for people to see how fast time is. So this man was saying a generation wouldn't pass by before certain things happen. He can't be talking about the same type of generation that we're talking about, how we think a generation works, because a lot of things have not yet occurred. You see what I'm saying? So what you think is an immaculate conception is easily explained by science. What you think is an alien or a spirit or an angel is easily explained scientifically. What you think is a UFO or a chariot of fire is easily explained scientifically in these days. Even if you don't have all the terms for it, it's a lot easier to make sense of things when you know the basic or the fundamentals or the quanta of these things. You see what I'm saying? So if we say the quanta of the chariots of fire, breaking it down to it's a vehicle. Before you call it anything, it carries a thing. Beings are on them. You understand? These are people on them. All right, then that's a vehicle. And an unidentified flying object, which a vehicle is an object, is what you call a UFO. So if you're not able to explain to me what these beings were, who these beings were, or what these vehicles, then you're basically saying you don't know what they are. That's a UFO. But they want y'all to think I'm crazy when I talk about it. You see what I'm saying? I was just listening to Pops, Little Green Men. They want you to think that when I mention, extraterrestrials, that I'm talking about Hollywood and all that other stuff. But then your whole books is talking about this story. It only makes sense when you deal with it this way. Because I didn't write that the angels had clothes on. Y'all wrote that. Not y'all, but these people wrote that. They said the angels had clothes on. It's in your books, right? I didn't say the angels spoke. Y'all said the angels spoke. Can a spirit eat food? According to your Bible, hit them with this. According to your Bible, right? When Jesus came and said, can a spirit eat meat? He said, touch me. I am flesh and bones. Is a spirit able to eat meat? He was telling them he was in the flesh. He had not ascended. He even still had that body. You understand? He had been transformed as someone else placed in the spot of him, of he. He was saved. That ain't even the point. The point is, if spirits can't eat meat, family, then how are you going to tell me angels are spirits? Because angels came and sat with Abraham and ate meat with him. They ate food with him. If angels are spirits, then how were the ones who were the savages in the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah telling Lot that they wanted to have relations with the angels? For one, that they were spirits, you wouldn't have been able to see them. And for two, you can't touch them if they're spirits. So then why did the angels need to be protected? Right? Why did Lot offer up his daughters? Look how crazy this gets. Lot was like, no, don't attack these men. Just attack my daughters. You see what I'm saying? He offered his daughters up. So as to save angels. Why do angels need to be saved from human beings if they're these powerful, glorious, shining, bright, plasma-based beings? These were men. They literally say the word men multiple times, multiple translators. These were men. And when you got all that technology on your craft, is one thing. But when them niggas catch you off your ship, you know what I'm saying? You ain't got all them buttons you could press to annihilate a nigga. Then your ass might be assed out. No pun intended. Fucking around with these throwed off ass people. So Lot, hide us. What you mean hide us? Y'all are angels. Or y'all extraterrestrials who have advanced technology, but y'all weren't on y'all craft with that advanced technology. We know they have advanced technology because bro was like, hey, do y'all think I need to show him what I'm about to do? So Sodom and Gomorrah was bombed. It was not an occurrence of nature. It was done to Sodom and Gomorrah. So explain it. Explain what type of fire would turn a woman into a pillar of ash because she looked at it. What fire is that? You said fire, but fire doesn't behave how y'all are saying fire. And fire been fire since fire was fire, hasn't it been? It's one of the elements. So you're going to tell me not only does fire turn people into pillars of ash because they look at it, in that same breath, it deletes a whole city. Sodom and Gomorrah is gone. They destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah with fire, right? You're talking about bricks and everything just being destroyed with fire. Because, you know, when something burns up, one thing that doesn't go is the concrete. One thing that doesn't go is the bricks. One thing that doesn't go is a civilization that's based on the exact same thing I'm telling y'all it was built on or said to have been built up on. Not no straw and hay and wood. You're talking about civilizations built like Sumerian civilizations that were built out of stone and concrete. You're not finna just light that on fire and it's gone. You see what I'm explaining to you? No, that was a nuclear weapon. They don't know what they're talking about. Fire is not fire in these books. Fire is an attempt to explain what was being seen or talked about. Because Moses' bush didn't even burn, and they said it was fire coming from the bush. But they said when Moses walked up to it, he said, why is the bush not burning? Because that wasn't fire, that was light. Well, they didn't know what light was other than observing the sun. And they thought the sun was fire. Now, with the science that is being expressed today, is sun just fire? If the sun is just fire, can you place a fire next to a garden and it grow all your crops? Or are there other things that come into play scientifically that would explain why the sun's rays cause your crops to grow? You understand? Or strengthens your melanin. Okay? It can only do that based off of what's programmed scientifically. And fire is not programmed scientifically to cause crops to grow. You see what I'm saying? So what was the glow that came from the bush? It's a glow. There's a difference between light and fire, but they didn't know it. You're holding a brick of light or a brick of fire in your hand. It's called your phone. You understand that? When you look at a TV, you're looking at a window of fire. All it is just poetic language. They don't really know what they're talking about back then. 2,000 years ago, they didn't know what it was. Today, they still don't know what it is. They're trying to figure it out. They're trying to make technology that mirrors it. They still don't know what half of that stuff was that they was observing. You with me? So immaculate conception isn't some foreign phenomenon that human beings can't understand. And it doesn't make sense when people say, lean not on your own understanding. Because that's the point. You're not supposed to understand. You're not supposed to stand under. Don't throw that out there like it's some shit to throw a nigga off. I'm not supposed to lean on my own understanding. Because if I lean on my own understanding and I understand a thing, or I think I comprehend a thing, and I'm no longer seeking or asking and seeking and knocking, which the book tells you to do, then I will not progress. I will not ascend. I will not advance. So lean not on your own understanding does not mean accept everything everybody tells you. They say test the spirit with the spirit. They literally say in the book, test every spirit with the spirit. And they tell you what the spirit is because they said they were prophets. So, okay, any prophet need to be tested, including Jesus. Don't believe him. Whatever he says, test it out. See if it works. And then you'll be able to know the truth. You will know the truth, and the truth will motivate you to be free or make you free. Having the truth will make you free or put you in position to be free. You understand that? Meaning your works will have to still show. That's why they said faith without works is dead. They put a lot of things in the book that'll show you don't believe. Don't just believe anybody. Okay, any messengers or prophets or people who wrote canonicals or whoever they are, don't believe them. Don't believe Paul. What are you talking about? Paul wasn't a disciple of Jesus. Where did people get that from? Paul came later. Don't believe Luke. Luke literally said he made it up because he thought whatever other people was talking about was valid and he believed in it. So confirmation bias. Don't believe Luke. Don't believe anybody. This is your soul you talking about. I don't care if they was there around that time period. They still could have lied. In this day and time, all of you crowned ones need to be making sure that you actually in touch with who we talking about. Why you need John in them? Where is your divinity? If Moses can be protected and brought into the wilderness, okay, then you go into the wilderness and you wait. You think God ain't gonna see you? You go into the wilderness and test to see. You not eat and only drink water for 30 days or 40 days or 21 days. You do a Daniel fast and see what happens. You see what I'm saying? They telling all these stories like it's a one and done thing, but the story ain't even over. And now you're in a crucial time period where only those who are in tune with these people or these beings will be able to be tapped. You understand? And say, okay, now go here. All right, answer your question. Any other questions? Immaculate conception is explained through artificial insemination, planting a seed in a woman, so long as she's fertile. And even if she isn't fertile, they have ways to reverse infertility. You see what I'm saying? So they figured a lot of the stuff out that people thought was like beyond this realm at one point. Any other questions? That's all good. Like I said, you can ask me questions. You saw the brothers come up here and talk about the Quran. We can go into the Bible. We can talk about what I got a lot of it. It just depends on your questions. Do light come from heat, or does heat come from light? Both come from an occurrence of energy transfer. You understand that? The activation of molecules, the activation of photons, the activation of anything material or matter or mass being activated and sped up and increased, right? So in some ways, light may not be able to be detected on certain spectrums. Okay, in some ways, heat may not be able to be detected on certain spectrums, or depending on how far away you are from the source of that heat. Okay, however, you can still detect it in some way, shape, form, or fashion. So test it yourself and rub your hands together, and you'll see that heat was able to be created or yielded, which is an energy transfer, because you were rubbing your hands together. All right. Now, if you were somehow able to rub your hands together fast enough, all right, and it was made of a material that was a conductor of a sort, you would be able to cause light or fire or both to stream from that friction. You see what I'm explaining to you? So energy transfer causes both. All right. Things speeding up in frequency, whether it's through friction, whether it's through being put on a stove and there's a heat transfer of energy, okay, which causes another fire or causes something else to heat up, or whether there's charged particles being shot through a filament where you get your light bulbs, okay. Either way, there's still something that's happening with energy and things being excited. And it's that excitatory nature of things that allows for fire and light to even exist in this plane. That answers your question? So both come from energy transfer. When things become excited, all right, meaning when those molecules get to moving around quickly, or when those reactions take place, you will either observe what you're calling light, and there are different types of light. You got fluorescent light, you got bioluminescent light, visible light, all kind of light. Okay, and then you got fire and different degrees of fire, literally degrees as in temperature. You understand? So certain particles or molecules will yield other types of fire and other types of light, depending on the activation. So both come from energetic transfer or molecules being excited. Anybody else? Any other questions? I know it's late too. I didn't even realize it was 1:43. Thank you. It's all good. Thank you. I like how you explained it as excited. Yeah, that's scientific. Amen. What do I think about Easter? I don't. I don't even think about it. I grew up seeing it. I don't even really think about it. You know, I think this is going to be an interesting one because they got that 420 thing going on with it. You know? But I don't believe, you know what I'm saying? I saw them with the rabbits laying egg thing. Rabbits don't lay eggs. So it's just a more reason to it's a pagan holiday if you really think about it. But Christians celebrate it, and they literally have Easter egg hunts at church. I saw that growing up, and I ain't understand that. Because it's supposed to be about this man rose up, and y'all made it about eggs and slaves. And he said, what do you mean slaves? Well, you didn't know that? That's why they said that eggs were colored, and you had to send people on a hunt to go find the eggs, the colored eggs. You didn't know? You didn't pick up on that? That's a part of it, too. So Yeah, I'll tell you this. I'm an Easter because I've gone to the East and I've seen the sun and I beheld it. So you got a lot of Easters. They call them Masons or travelers that walk with the sun and in alignment with the sun. But as far as the holiday, I don't celebrate holidays. Like, meaning there's no reason for me to get excited when a holiday comes around. Hala or hollow is just saying a spirit, something that's spooky. These are spooky days, believe days, ritual days. It had nothing to do with me. For anybody who believes in it and all that, that's y'all. That's y'all. I ain't gonna lie though. Like, I don't know how y'all really believe this man resurrected on Easter Sunday and y'all let these folks get away with Easter bunny, Easter eggs. Y'all still celebrating that for y'all children. And you think you see how y'all play? You see how y'all play with this man? I know this man just been tongue in cheek for the past 2,000 years. You're like, look at this shit, bro. I don't get that part. Like, y'all really playing with this man talk? First, y'all let Santa Claus take his birthday. Then y'all gonna let the Easter Bunny take his death kind of day. Like, I don't understand this shit. What do you think about seeing real life people in your dreams you never met in person? I don't know about it. I've seen certain weird things like that. I don't know. There's a lot of ways it could be explained. One of the ways is that there ain't but so many different types of faces, okay? And part of your subconscious projection job or the job of your subconscious to project is to form faces for you to be able to identify and interact with when you're in your sleep realm. But if you're traveling through different realms, it's another thing that you just may encounter people that are operating or holding in spaces of what's referred to as the multi-world interpretation or the multi-world theory or the many-world theory, where there are other beings that exist or different versions of yourself or people that exist on different time spheres or within different time spheres. So again, I don't know which one it would be for you in each individual situation, but I've seen a lot of weird things like that. I've seen it where, and I know y'all probably experienced something similar, but I've seen it where someone has a face of somebody's, like they have their own face in a dream, but they're not that person. So it's like they have a face for that person. They're matching that face. I don't make a sense. But that person is not that person whose face is there. But in the dream, it is that person, but that person don't have that face. So I've seen stuff like that, and it doesn't even really dawn on you until you get back here, right? So I don't know. I think it's just different levels of the dream realm that people explore, and certain weird things happen in that realm. I'll have to do a whole book on the dream world, I promise. I was supposed to do that years ago. Why does one fight in dreams? I don't know. Maybe different reasons why. Maybe it's trauma. It could be fear, insecurity. Fear could be like when you're saying you might have a test. It's just simple stuff like that. And you don't want to fail it, so you lash out in your dreams, or you take out something that you really dealing with subconsciously. You try to suppress it. You take it out on some random subconscious projection that pops up in your dream. It could be that. It could be pride and ego. It could be a lot of things. It could just be excitement. So, but again, I'm not a dream interpreter, so I don't know y'all individual situations. But I would tell you to study the subconscious brain and study psychology. And you study psychology with a fine-tooth comb, because you're still dealing with people's philosophy when it comes to psychology. But if you marry psychology with neuroscience, all right, specifically the study of the subconscious brain, then it should be able to help you answer certain reasons why certain things happen. Because they explain like why people experience nightmares and stuff like that, certain traumas that could induce it. You know what I'm saying? So study psychology and neuroscience, specifically the department of the subconscious self or the unconscious self or the subconscious brain. Any other questions? If I wake up screaming in the middle of the night, just know, yeah, for sure. Like, I'll be at war. I'll be shaking out my sleep all the time. Should the world be on the lookout for a Messiah today? If so, why? That's a good question. I don't think it would make any difference at this point because they just gonna try to kill us if they find it. You know what I mean? There they go. You know. So I don't know if they should be on the lookout because them not being on the lookout may be buying time and letting certain things happen. Because I know there are certain beings that are going to detect certain spirits and they're going to we know who that is. We might not know that one by name, but we know that's one of them. So looking out in this world, since they may be looking out to get rid of the messiahs or get rid of any saviors or someone who could be able to bring people back to the true light, they'll try to get rid of them quick. But as far as looking out for, meaning like in anticipation or this may be a part of my life's journey that the Messiah comes in this time period, what I would say is ultimately everybody who had the opportunity to meet the Messiah in the stories, whether they believed in him or not, whether they loved him or not, hated him or not, they all bore witness. That's another thing that people need to pay attention to. All of them did bear witness. Not all of them liked him, but all of them did bear witness to him. And some of them bore witness in such a way that it threatened their existence, so they wanted to get rid of him. And some bore witness to the point where they said, I'm going to walk with this person no matter what it takes. I'm going to find my way home. Because every time they talk to me, every time we walk, I'm figuring something out. It was like that, you know what I'm saying, with Malachi York. And he kept saying, I am not the Messiah. You see what I'm explaining to you? So it just depends on how you're looking at it. The main thing is if you're not one of the messiahs, why? Right? Why are you not one of the messiahs? And another big thing to ask yourself, are you a messiah of oneself? You know what I mean? That's why I'm telling y'all, make sure y'all get that book. All right, everybody coming in here, get the book, Protect the Crown. All y'all people who you better have it now. You got Blue Kachina, you was able to have that. Okay, certain books really expose certain things that's moving right now, meaning like where I'm at. Okay, and it applies to anybody who's experiencing the similar things of the chosen one's awakening, or whatever you want to call it. Are you saving oneself? You see what I'm saying? Are you in the position to say, okay, you see this person showing you how to pick up a hammer and build a house. All right, they walk you through it, step by step, brick by brick, piece by piece, degree by degree, iota by iota. And then they hand you the hammer, the nails and everything, and you just standing there waiting on them to build you a house. But they already showed you how to build a house. Do you get where I'm going with that? You should be able to, for one, be one of the messiahs, be one of the angels, be one of the messengers. All right? Don't rush to try to be like the main character because you already know what they do to the main character, right? That you know what they take main characters through. Don't rush for that. Hey, if you're going to rush to be something, rush to be the Messiah that you're primed to be. All right? And not even that you're going, again, if you're not going to be a Messiah or Messiah, all right, or those who sing a new song out into the world, that people are able to follow that tune and make their way home and find their way to Mount Zion, okay? If you're not going to be one of those, then at least be a Messiah of your own soul. Save your own generation. Save your own genetics. At least listen to that voice that's going on inside your head when any true light comes to you. And it says, listen. It's the same voice that pulls up and said, this is my son whom I believe in. Listen to him. In the biblical stories, all right? If you're reading a book and it says, listen, or you listen to a teaching and it says, listen, or you out having a smoothie with a friend and you see a sign and it literally has the word listen on it, right? No matter what it is, if it's telling you to do more push-ups, do more push-ups. If it's telling you to eat healthier, eat healthier. If it's telling you be nicer to people, be nicer to people. If it's telling you to do more for yourself, do more for yourself. If it's telling you drink more water, drink more water. And you owe it to oneself to listen to that voice. Okay, because for one, you still have that decision to make of whether or not you're even going to be a Messiah that helps others find it. But ultimately, no one can vouch that I know of other than Dr. Malachi York. Again, I will have to wait to see when that comes, when that time comes. As far as I know, no one can vouch in the sense of make it be that your works, okay, were substituted for theirs or theirs for yours. You have to have your own works. You with me? I'm telling you this. I'm not no sound good teacher. All right. I don't want shit to sound good. I teach what I'm seeing is true or is good. And those who listen, they'll have to decide where it applies in their life. But I'm telling you, I'm not waiting. I'm walking through, not to. But I'm not waiting on none of these people to figure it out. Like I told you, I listen to my music. What I say? I said, it said they don't accept it. That's on them. Right? I said something to that effect. I can't remember what song it was. I was like, yeah, what's the song? I think it's but if you blink, you don't miss. You gonna miss me. I think the song "Don't Blink." I spoke on it. Where I said, if they get it, then they get it. I ain't stressing shit. Trying to tell you something like they gonna talk, run their mouth. Everybody gonna watch this shit happen until it's done. And I'm not waiting on them to figure out what's happening. Because everybody has the opportunity. I know you hear the voice and you like, what's going on with this individual? Something is about this being. You know what I mean? And I know you turn on Dr. Malachi York's teachings and something just happens in your reality the moment that it happens. Okay? I bear witness to when I put on my voice, something happens in my reality. I get this encouragement. I don't know what to really explain it as, but if I feel lazy that day or like not following through with a commitment and I just fuck around and press play on one of them, even if it's on accident, if I just accidentally press play on something like that interview off the porch, just me hearing that, there's a purple aura that comes from it. And I'm like, I'm going to push through today. Like, I'm going to go the extra mile today. I'm going to get my extra reps today. It's something about it. All right. And it's that when I turn on Dr. Malachi York, that's how it was for me growing up. Listening to his teachings, it kept me on the right path, literally. And no matter what was happening, whether I was going through spiritual attacks, no matter what it was, his voice just cleaned everything up. That's why I tell y'all to test it out. It ain't my voice. I'm not saying you got to do it with mine. I'm telling you, this is my experience. Okay. My voice helps me. So I know that there's something about it. If I can put on and my wife will tell you, people have been around to tell you, I will listen to my whole teachings back. I'm not one of those people that just run and gun it. I will sit there and listen and learn from me speaking. I read my own books and will sit there and be like, wow, I broke this down. I go back over certain music and I'm like, yo, this is amazing. So I know that it's hitting for some of y'all like that. All right, the main one that I could say that I observed that before anything is Dr. Malachi York. And it don't matter what it is, what you're going through, you can press any, and he always saying something that's aligning with what you got going on. It's so interesting. All right, so to answer your question straight out, as far as whether or not they need to be on the lookout for a Messiah, I'll tell you this. Make the decision on whether or not you are a part of those messiahs. Regardless of what they're going to look for, you make the decision of whether or not you're a part of those messiahs that are going to help people, bring people home, give people the opportunity to find their way home in any way that you found your way. I'm doing that. I'm being one of those in a sense, if you're listening, because I know I found a way out of here. I found a way home. So I came back through the tunnel and I gave y'all or people who would listen, all right, who the true and willing, I gave them the opportunity. And you saw the devil say, see, he's trying to make it about him. See, he want to be centered. He's centering around himself. I said, y'all not paying attention. No matter where I go, if I'm trying to make it about myself, why everywhere I go, I bring Dr. Malachi York name, I bring the Wapu. Why I always bring right knowledge with me? No matter where I go, no matter how big the platform, one of the first, if not the first, it'll be the most important or last thing, right? I bring Dr. Malachi York up, his situation and everything, and why people need to know who that is, right? If I'm trying to make it about me and this world is already set up on bullshit and fallacy, why didn't I just leave his name out of it? That's why I said in the Rahul Bat song, I said, if it's a Faise show, then why the fuck did I make sure people say his name or that people know who that is? Hundreds of thousands of people know who that is now because they heard of me or they listened to something I said, they watched something, and they're not even realizing it. You watch the Childish movie, all that's Dr. York. You know what I'm saying? You listen to certain songs, F Black History, you see the images that Pops used. I'm literally, if anything, I'm the biggest team player we got out here for Nuapu. Y'all shouldn't be trying to say I'm trying to make it about me or that I want to shine, but y'all always do that. You know what I mean? You try to make us the enemy when we the only ones doing the real work. You know what I mean? Of all the people that's coming from that environment. Because I didn't have to be the only one out here. You see what I'm saying? But I found more family. I found more Nuwapians. I found more love in strangers, foreigners, okay, what they call the Gentiles, than I did in the tribe of my own. I came to my own, and my own received me not. I'm a living testimony of it. I came to my own, and my own did not receive me. The people who were there on Tamaray, they did not receive me. The elders was trying to shun me. The men was staring at me with amber light streaming from their eyes. You know what I mean? The women was trying to pull me into whatever fallacies they had going on. Be around, and they wound up becoming vexed and upset, and they spirit shown. It didn't matter. It wasn't gender based. Everybody was showing their horns. And I'm like, I don't understand it. This is what y'all were rapping about when I was little. This is what y'all said we was on when I was little. So I stayed the course, and y'all treated me like I'm some type of exile because I went out there and did what. So then why am I getting the approval from Dr. Malachi York and the hate from y'all? Malachi York say, tell him keep going. Tell him keep putting that message out there. He's helping to spin that message. You know what I mean? I didn't get no disapproval. You know what I mean? And this was audio that I heard. And I have it. And he was also saying, make sure everybody supported him. Make sure everybody knows who he is. He said London and every place. Make sure everybody knows who he is. They supported him. They pumping up on his website. He said website. You know, I wouldn't say no website. So that's definitely him. And some of y'all heard it in person. I let y'all hear it. I never put it out on the internet, but I let y'all hear it. You see what I'm saying? So y'all bearing witness to what people don't want to bear witness to. I brought everybody through to here at the doctrine room, one of these rooms, right? When they was reading some of the books. I didn't say, yo, man, F that. We not reading Pots of Rock. You know what I mean? All that Sabian shit. I said, let's go read it. Let's see what's up. Didn't I? We sat there. We literally read for days, weeks, right? And then we would have talks. But then when I would talk, there would be disclaimers being made. You know, let's make sure we're not censoring ourselves. And I was showing y'all in real time the miracle of Pop's works. I was showing y'all in real time how the psychic science had been ruled out and left out. And how it was showing up in my relationship with him. And that y'all could have the same relationship. And I was telling y'all that when it came to all the Ethereums and everything like that, like, yo, this is important. Don't leave that part out. Don't leave the Hindus out. Don't leave Hinduat out. Don't leave the crafts part out, because he never swayed. He never strayed from that point. Then I became the devil. Then I became a fearmonger. Then I want to be Baba's successor. I'm like, what's wrong with these people? You see what I'm saying? As many times as they saw me say something that he said, as many times they saw me say something that aligned with what he said, and we would literally be talking, and I'll be speaking on something. They'd be like, oh, it sounds like you read this scroll. I'm like, I never read that scroll, but let's read it. And then it'd be exactly what I was talking about. I'm like, I never read that scroll. You with me? So we went into the rooms. We tried to go into their language rooms. But I had questions, and they got upset with me. So it like I said, if I go somewhere and they eat the bad, I'm not staying. I don't care what you call yourself. I'm not staying there. Supposed to get mad at me, and I was literally going to search for Dr. Malachi York's words and what's going on with this situation. I wasn't waiting on no update. So I was right there listening to what he was saying and coming back and telling what these people didn't want to tell them. Get what they do? They got mad at me for telling them what he was saying. I'm like, I don't get it, bro. I'm like, these people don't even want to tell y'all what he really saying. They lying. I'm telling y'all, sit here, listen to the man talk for 4 hours about his situation, how folk lying, taking up money, all kind of stuff. And then y'all saying, I'm trying to see dissension and negativity. So, I did attempt to work with all these people. The last straw we at is we gonna have to get a lawyer. That's the last part we at. I'm telling you, I done tried everything in a book. And I never wanted to go that route because I didn't want to deal with it. But I'm like, man, this shit bigger than the Nuwaubians. Fuck what they talk about. Because they ain't gonna make no moves for them. It's bigger than them. I don't care what they say. I never collected a dime in Dr. Melikazi your name. I'm telling you, however, that we may have to get the lawyer. We may got to get the lawyer because sooner we get closer to get something done, nigga get the ginning out. You see what I'm saying? Nigga get to acting funny and different. Like, I don't understand why Ibrahim trying to, raise the money by himself out of the blue. Like, that shit happened a month ago. I'm like, I don't even understand that. Last thing you were telling me is I'm supposed to get on the phone with Adrian Patrick to talk so that we can figure this out. I sat here and gave you all my stats and analytics and everything of how we doing big numbers all over the internet. I'm like, yo, I got somebody who literally, they came and they shot the music video for, what was the song? Can't Stay Here. They shot the video for Can't Stay Here. They hit me up immediately after. They were like, I don't know. So I was right there listening to what he was saying and coming back and telling what man talked for 4 hours about his situation, how folk lying, taking up money, all kind of stuff. And then y'all saying, I'm trying to see dissension and negativity. So, I did attempt to work with all these people. The last straw we at is we gonna have to get a lawyer. That's the last part we at. I'm telling you, I done tried everything in a book. And I never wanted to go that route because I didn't want to deal with it. But I'm like, man, this shit bigger than the Nuwaubians. Fuck what they talk about. Because they ain't gonna make no moves for them. It's bigger than them. I don't care what they say. I never collected a dime in Dr. Melikazi your name. I'm telling you, however, that we may have to get the lawyer. We may got to get the lawyer because sooner we get closer to get something done, nigga get the ginning out. You see what I'm saying? Nigga get to acting funny and different. Like, I don't understand why Ibrahim trying to, raise the money by himself out of the blue. Like, that shit happened a month ago. I'm like, I don't even understand that. Last thing you were telling me is I'm supposed to get on the phone with Adrian Patrick to talk so that we can figure this out. I sat here and gave you all my stats and analytics and everything of how we doing big numbers all over the internet. I'm like, yo, I got somebody who literally, they came and they shot the music video for, what was the song? Can't Stay Here. They shot the video for Can't Stay Here. They hit me up immediately after. They were like, I don't know what that was. I don't know who those people are. All I know is I ain't never seen or experienced nothing like that. And I want to know more about what y'all doing. Because I ain't never even felt nothing like that. They said, yo, man, we going to shoot the Who is Dr. Melikazi, or whatever we want to call it. He said, we going to shoot the documentary for free. You see what I'm saying? He said, I got a producer and someone else that'll come and we'll shoot it for free. Right? We can sit, edit, make sure it's quality. You make sure, he said, we can put it in writing. You got creative control, right? All of that. And he said, I just want to make sure this story is told. Because he said, I'm not even hearing nothing about this, but I just witnessed it in real time. And it was for real. Like, he literally witnessed it in real time. It was a beautiful thing, right? And you saw, I ain't put it all over the web, but people had to see it if they came to the Live from the Holy Land show. That was the only way they was able to see all the people around me. You see what I'm saying? But people like, he ain't doing nothing. I do a lot of things that you don't know nothing about. You know what I mean? But it's supposed to be like that because if you're close enough to the light, you'll see it. If not, then it don't have nothing to do with you. That wasn't your thing. You see what I'm saying? So, but there's always some things that are moving. But he was there and he was able to get a plate. Everything, it was beautiful. Everybody was talking. He was there to witness that. He saw how people were with one another. Everybody wearing white. Everybody got on these purple crowns, and it's a beautiful thing. And it's not fake. It was all flowing. So he was like, yo. And then I'm like, all right, I gotta talk to one of the sons, make sure this shit work. We get on the phone. All right, we get everything in order. I'll try to explain. I say, look, this ain't like the old days. We are 11 Alive News now. Like, nigga, like, doing everything in my power. Say, bro, Ibrahim, get it together, bro. Like, I don't know what you be having going on, bro. I don't have time to be doing what, like, y'all gotta think. I'm younger than a lot of these people. You see what I'm saying? So, this is the plus about it. I got a lot more energy, but they take that as arrogance. No, y'all dragging your feet. And you want to know how I know they dragging their feet? Because when they sending me the messages that Dr. Melakazi York is sending them, he's saying they dragging their feet. He like, what's going on? What's taking so long? Why am I still sitting here? How long is that going to take? I don't have that type of time. I don't think you understand, son. I'm 80 years old. I'm like, yo. Then I say, yo, I don't think it take 30 times for a man to be like, what the fuck is going on, for you to realize maybe I'm not functioning how I could be functioning. But ego, is too much ego in this. Because then it becomes, here what I'm seeing, oh, it's no longer Ibrahim thing, now it's a phase one thing. I don't need it to be no phase one thing. I need it to be a thing that works. You feel what I'm saying? We need it to be a thing that works, not no phase one thing. If it ain't supposed to be me, then why the fuck did I do this? I don't care nothing about fame. I don't give a damn what they telling y'all. I don't care nothing about fame. I don't care nothing about being the best spiritual teacher and all that stuff. I don't give a fuck about none of that shit. My whole purpose was to get this situation that I watched happen with my own eyes out to the people. Did I ever sway from that? Did I ever steer away from that? Anybody close enough to know me, you know this is what I'm on. This is what I'm thinking about. I'll walk around the house, I'll be like, man, I don't know what's going on. Like, I'll talk outside, like, speak out to Pops. Like, Pops, what's going on? Like, what they doing? Like, I don't understand. You see what I'm saying? I sit and have real conversations in the spirit. The other day, I woke up sad. I'm like, what's up? What's this mean? And then a lot of times, how I'm feeling aligned with what he's saying in the updates. And, you know what I mean? Like, and then I get what he's saying. I understand where he's coming from. And I don't even know how. I'm just like, yo, you feel me? So I don't understand. Like, and nobody is exempt. Ibrahim, nobody. I don't know what these people got going on. I told him, man, one thing I heard him saying with Adrian Patrick was somebody going to take him about 3 months to, you know what I'm saying, to get right and be ready. I'm like, yo, we don't have 3 months to be waiting on this man. And then next thing I know, we supposed to be getting on the phone call. So I'm like, okay, cool. Let me talk to Adrian Patrick. Because the first time I talked to Adrian Patrick was him telling me about some shit they had going on with Trump and all that other stuff. I'm like, let me talk to him this time about potentially raising funds so we can get this show on the road, and I'm going to be involved in it. I said, and I'll interview him, you know what I'm saying, all kind of stuff so that people can be caught up on the motion itself. Now, not that they got to know all the details, but the motion itself, that things are in motion so people can see real progress for the first time, right? All right, everything supposed to be in motion. I ain't hear from him. A week go by. I ain't heard nothing from him. I literally told this man 2-3 months ago, I say, Ibrahim, if we do nothing else, let's just make sure we check in with one another every day. If we don't do anything else, let's just check in with one another every day so the jinn can't get in between us. Bro did not listen, right? And then one time he called me and said, what's this I hear about you raised the money for Adrian Patrick and you didn't tell me about it? I said, who the fuck said some stupid shit like that? He said the Sabians came into class and they were saying you raised $60,000. You already raised the money and you gave it to Adrian Patrick. I said, bro, listen to yourself. Everybody been knowing me to raise money since 2019, 2020. How did I sneak and raise 60,000? Right? Then that would mean I'm on some scamming shit. So I snuck and raised 60,000. Nobody knew. Not even y'all. Who I would have come to. I snuck and raised 60,000 and I gave that shit away. And I gave it to the nigga who he cool with. And he calling my phone. Call the nigga who I supposedly gave the 60,000 to. You see what I'm explaining to you? I ain't understand that shit. Then he was like, I knew you ain't do that. No, the fuck you didn't, because you called my phone. Now I'm hearing from you. But I ain't heard from you. But now, all right, next thing I hear, I'm like, what's going on? What's the good news with Pops? I don't have no good news. He's still in there. Oh, okay. When I'm supposed to get on the phone with Adrian Patrick, we supposed to make this move. I don't have no information for you, and I'm focused on raising money. I'm like, this one I don't understand. You don't have to raise the money by yourself. And then when you told your father you was going to raise the money, he didn't think you could raise the money by yourself. Because he said, tell Adrian Patrick, do it for free. And when I come out, I'll give him 100,000. Tell him to do it for free. He asking for 60,000. Tell him do it, get it done. And then when I come out, I'll give him 100,000. He never told this man that. I know he never said this to this man because he was like, meaning never said it like, this is what we doing. Because he was like, my dad not thinking that, you know, he got to pay people, all this other stuff. Bro, this why one of the lawyers was like a while ago, a decade ago. They were like, I never seen somebody who so many people listen to, but nobody listens to. And I'm like, bro, that went over everybody's head. There's somebody looking from the outside in said, I never seen somebody who so many people listen to, but nobody listen to, because they don't listen when Pop say something. It's so it's so. I'm telling you, when he speak, they ignore him. Then they gather together and figure out what they gonna do with his life. But I'll listen to him say something. They let me hear the audios. I don't know why. Maybe call it the open mouth ceremony, whatever. I don't care. But somehow I'm always around to hear what's going on. I don't know. It's just what the fuck happens. And I'll listen to him, and I'm listening for what he's saying. Other people might be sitting there like, oh, this is the master teacher. Fuck all that. I'm trying to hear what bro talking about. Like, he'll say, all right, so I need y'all to do this, that, and the third. You know, if you working on that paperwork, then y'all, you know, lean to this. And get the lawyer on this, and da-da-da-da. And then I be looking at them like, all right, did y'all do that? Oh, yeah, but I got to talk to these people. I got to talk to the wife. I got to talk. Why you got to talk to anybody other than the one you just talked to? He's still the master teacher. He's still who he is. He asking y'all to do stuff and you just won't fucking do it. You see what I'm saying? Then they love to call my phone telling me about what type of position they got, some new position. I don't get no damn. The position don't matter because y'all don't listen. You had the highest position. He could have said, you are the new Malachi York. I don't give a damn. That Malachi York don't listen. You see what I'm saying? Like, bro, so I don't understand. Like, this is why I know it's like the biggest test ever. So all I know left to do is like, all right, the only one who I know not bullshitting is me. That's the only one I know for sure not bullshitting. I'm going to say that one more time. One more time. One more time. Take it how you want to take it. The only one I know who not bullshitting when it comes to Pops is me. I'm the only one I know. Everybody else is like, I'm seeing them living their life. You know what I'm saying? I'm seeing them playing with his time, playing with his papers, doing whatever the fuck they want to do. I'm like, bro. And they all talk to me, don't understand. They be telling on themselves because I'm not listening. I'm not hearing none of that theatrical shit. I'm listening to what's really coming from your soul. Efo playing. I'm like, oh, okay. So we may have to do it. Like, if y'all see me pushing for a lawyer for Pops, that's all I got left that I can do. You see what I'm saying? I ask other people to do things, and they'll do it whenever they can or however they can. But only thing I'm, you know what I'm saying, able to do is say, all right, I'm gonna use my platform. Let's get a lawyer. And he still got to hire the lawyer. He still got to sign off. You know what I mean? I'm not even going to say worse or best. It can either happen that he say yeah, he have he say no. Either way, I got to do whatever I can because these people won't do. They're not doers. I don't understand it. They playing crazy. And we New Wapians. I'm like, bro, where the real New Wapians at? Where the ones who get shit done at? You know what I'm saying? I don't know. It's too much ego. It's too much like nobody want to work together. I bear witness to that, Pops. They don't want to work together. Because I'll say, yo, you got this piece. This person got this piece. I know this. I talked to this person. Here go the whole puzzle. Can I get y'all to have one lunch together? Everybody in Georgia. Can we just sit down? Everybody told me. I can't make this up. Everybody said not only no, they were like, it's not going to happen. I'm like, okay. Tell me why it's not going to happen. Because some shit that happened in the past. Because a disagreement that happened 20 years ago when I was 5 or 6 years old. I'm like, I'm not understanding this. What make y'all different than the people who still trying to say he guilty? Y'all hold on to grudges too. You feel what I'm saying? Y'all no different than the people who lied on him. Because some of them people still to this day trying to convince themselves of shit that we know, bro. Like, we know. They still trying to, like, get movie deals and book deals and documentary deals and all kind of shit. Just making shit up now. Just changing their whole story. Folk done recanted their statement, then recanted their recantment, then recanted they recanted recantment. And ain't nobody saying that's weird. Nigga Tariq Noel recanted his statement, recanted his recanted statement, then came back and recanted the recantment of the recantment. And these people be pulling him in as the main witness. I'm like, bro, this nigga is off his rocker. You can hear it when he talk. I remember when big live we did the big clubhouse room. Bro sounded drunk. I'm like, bro is not even sane. He not stable. I don't know what's going on. Like, bro, this shit. That's all I know to do. And it's so weird. It's so stupid because, like, y'all really trying to play this man. He not no charity case. He not no helpless man. Like, why y'all trying to down him? Like, if he didn't have so many fucking idiots involved in this shit, he couldn't have got himself out. If it wasn't so many of y'all swarming to sabotage shit, he didn't need none of y'all to get out. Like, I don't understand why they trying to play this man like that. So, I don't know, but I'm telling y'all, I ain't heard from only people that'll pick up, like, they got their own thing going on. But I ain't heard from people who y'all think I heard from. I don't know what they doing. Last thing they tell me they raising money. Sending me the link for money to be raised. I'm like, you don't understand. I ain't never collected no money for Pops. You feel what I'm saying? When one of the daughters came in and was trying to make that claim, I put her on live and 300 people was on the live. And she had to confess in front of all them people. No, I ain't never known you to do that. So why the fuck you going around telling people that? You see what I'm saying? But then she turn around and collect money in his name. And then we're talking about she got the lawyer and everything. I'm like, if you got the lawyer, then why you trying to talk to your dad through somebody else? Because the lawyer is who can talk and get on the phone. Why you asking Iris to get you on the phone with Pops then? And why Pops sending a message saying what he's saying? You with me? And then people be so clueless. Oh, one of his daughters don't fuck with you. One of his daughters is who they are. And again, I'm going to ease up because I know Pop don't like people to get on his daughter specifically. You know what I mean? And again, all the truth going to come to the light about all of that. You know what I'm saying? Cause like, what? I could really, okay, but I'll respect what he said. When he come out, he gonna deal with all these folks. He said when he come out, he gonna deal with this one. You know what I mean? Or he'll talk to these people when he get out. So I'm gonna let him seal up whatever else need to be sealed up with that type of stuff. I'm gonna hold my tongue. But these folks really be trying to play y'all. Don't fall into that I'm his daughter shit. Don't fall for that I'm his son shit. You know what I mean? I met some of his children. They don't give a damn about him. They talk down on him. That children shit don't mean nothing. His words was, I got 100 kids. He said, 50 good, 50 bad. His words. Don't tell me it was no book that was written and he ain't write it. No, I heard him say it out of his mouth. I heard him say it on the phone. I got 100 kids. 50 good, 50 bad. I would love to talk to all the good ones. You see what I'm saying? He be saying stuff without saying it. You know, he'll say, look, here go the text. We about to put this building up for sale. They talking about they going to sell that building. Watch this person when that happen. Watch this person when that happen. And then that very same person make it a big deal. You see what I'm saying? And again, I know way more than I say because some things I'll tell people I'm not going to say. That's the only way they're going to tell me. You know what I mean? They're like, bro, I'm going to tell you this, Faise, but you cannot go public. I'm like, all right, I'm not going to go public on that. Well, this shit trifling behind the scenes. You with me? Only thing is I just got decorum and honor that if I tell somebody I ain't going to say some shit about it, I ain't going to say shit about it. You know what I mean? So that's where we at right now. So we may have to move forward and get him a lawyer. I hate saying it like that because they really playing this man. You know what I mean? But we may have to just do it ourselves. Only reason why I say we do it ourselves is because I'm not seeing that anybody is able to like be stable enough to just get shit done. Every time we get close to some shit, niggas jaying out over shit that don't have nothing to do with what we even doing. I'm not seeing it. I would love to work with Adrian Patrick, but I can't just work with Adrian Patrick. You want to know why? Because Ibrahim's sitting in the middle. Do y'all see what I'm trying to tell you? I can't just go to Adrian Patrick because guess who's sitting right there in the middle? And one of the main things he said to me the first time I ever talked to him when he was mad about what was supposed to be going on with his sister because his sister was lying to him, right? And then he found out later that she was lying. That's why he wound up working with me. One of the main things he said to me was, ain't nobody going to Adrian but through me. I'm like, bro, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't understand this shit. So I would love to work with Adrian because he know what we're doing. At least he knows some of the case, right? To be able to make certain moves. But how I'm going to be able to work with Adrian when Adrian locked in with Ibrahim. And I know he think Ibrahim the one who going to be able to activate on some shit. But they don't know what activation is because they're not activating. They letting time pass. And this is what Pops is saying. And I'm just like, bro, they letting too much time pass. What you mean 3 months and then we get to it? 3 months to us ain't 3 months to him. Do that make sense? Am I losing anybody? 3 months to us is not 3 months to an 80-year-old person who is sitting in the belly of the beast. Y'all been telling this man he finna come out. You don't do that to somebody who got 2 months. You don't do that to somebody who got 2 months. You don't tell them I'm finna get you out of there early. And you ain't really intend to. Y'all been telling this man for 23 years. All right, Pops, we coming to get you. This is it. We got it. And y'all were lying. Eating off his plate, though. Teaching out his doctrine, though. Selling his books, though. You feel what I'm saying? I don't fuck with these people. I'm telling y'all that now. I don't fuck with these people. I do not fuck with these people. They know who they are. And if you feel hit, I'm talking about you. Because ain't no way nobody gonna be like, I don't fuck with them niggas. And I get intimidated or offended. You ain't talking about me. When Pop said, I want y'all to know I never felt love from any of you humanoids. My heart didn't hurt. I watched everybody else who was reading it and hearing it and taking little pieces out of it so you don't know who he really talking about. I watch y'all feeling like sad and what he mean by that. I know exactly what he mean by that because I feel the same exact way. He ain't talking about me. The hell? All these folks talking about some, surely you don't mean me, Malachi. That mean he surely mean you. The hell? So I don't know. They forgetting who he is because of what appears to be his situation. And this man hear everything. I'm telling you, I don't know how. I ain't figured it out. I've been studying this shit since I was 3. I still ain't figured it out. So I know they dumbass ain't figured it out. This man hears everything. Like, everything. And he'll play. Bro, it's just a fuck. Like, I don't understand how to explain this to y'all. Every time I try to explain it to them, every time I try to tell y'all, they take it from me. I don't know why they do that, but I'm trying to explain it to you. I know what I'm seeing in my mind, but they won't let me put it into words. I always have to talk around it. I see it, though, and I'm trying to explain it. But the words don't justify what they're showing me. It's like, how can I explain it? Imagine a sphinx. And behind the sphinx is a clock. And behind the clock is a stargate. So when you come to the sphinx only gonna move in accordance to how you show up. So let's say you come to the Sphinx talking about Ghana, expatriation to another, your real nation or whatever. Or let's say you come to him talking about life and what you got going on and you use certain words. Or let's say you come to the Sphinx and you just want to talk about money and things that's supposed to move, or you want to talk about a lawyer or a family member. Whatever words you use when you come to the Sphinx are what the Sphinx is like. Chat GPT. So whatever you put in is going to determine what you get out based on your prompt. You see what I'm saying? And depending on how prompt you are, you'll understand what time it is, which is associated with the clock that's behind the Sphinx. So some people late and they don't got everything. They don't got it all. They're not all there. So they show up and they talking about just random shit about life and what they got going on. And they just so infatuated that it's the Sphinx. Keep in mind, the Sphinx said, don't ever forget about that clock behind me and what it's in front of, which will be what? If you're listening, the Stargate. So watch. So I'm watching everybody go to the Sphinx and just like speak whatever it is that's on their mind and however they think they talking to the Sphinx. And the Sphinx keep cutting his eyes at me, right? Okay, I think they let me explain it to y'all a little bit. It's for whoever it's for. If you are of the few, it's for you. Say the word few, for you, few. All right? The Sphinx keep cutting his eyes at me. And his eyes are saying, this motherfucker. And then it go back, the Sphinx goes back to talking to whoever is there that somehow forgot that it's the Sphinx. You see the riddle? And then they turn around and go on about their business. And then they go and live their life, make money, whatever. Or they'll spread around the audio. I talked to the Sphinx, da-da-da-da. And they so happy. And then he just cut his eyes at me and roll his eyes. And I'm watching everybody walk up to the Sphinx. And one thing I know is that clock still behind the Sphinx. And that Stargate still behind that clock. But ain't nobody walked through the pause. I haven't seen anybody walk through the pause of the Sphinx. They come to the gates and they get turned around based on what they coming with. Does this make sense? If it don't, it's because only I know. And I'm trying to explain what I know to, I know you don't know. I'm just trying, I don't know, I don't even know why I'm trying to explain it then. But it's like, this man hears everything. He see everything. They put him in prison thinking it was going to stop that. He still see everything. I bear witness that this man will talk into your life. I bear witness that this man is not a man. He's not normal. He's not a normal being. His tone ain't normal. I'm going to tell you how normal he isn't. I ain't even planning on talking about him right now. We were talking about some whole other shit. How we get here. How we get here. You see what I'm saying? I'm answering y'all questions. How do we arrive here? 234. 234. They go the answer of how we arrived here. Everything is in order. You see what I'm saying? Now, I just finished this Protect the Crown book. And I know something going on with it because I'm like, I don't know, something. And then I say, I'm going to stop right here. It was a lot of other stuff I was going to put in the book. You know, I have notes and stuff written up that I just need to put in the file. They said, stop right here. I look at it, say 74. Melchizedek is a powerful being. And I think people are afraid, especially in this day and time, to talk about how much they know he's about. I was talking to a nigga on the phone. He speaks so fast, I don't know where he at. All I heard him tell me was that he got a girlfriend that's my age, and he's like 40 something. He was like, yo, I got a girlfriend your age, and I'm trying to keep up. I'm telling you, I can still keep up. And I don't know, all I hear is just like fast. Like he's just moving fast. I'm like, and then he get to telling me about a story. And he said he came from the streets. And he was like, when he found out who Dr. Malachi York was, he was like, I don't know who this nigga is, but ain't no way this nigga real. He like, and he seen him. He said he saw him in person. He said, this dude like a chump. Like, he looked skinny. He looked frail. He like, he can't. And he said, after he said that, he said Dr. Malachi York was sitting rows in front of him. He said, after he said that, everybody in the room disappeared. It was only him and Malachi York. He said, and Malachi York's soul pushed him back to the wall. Like he was pressed up against the wall. He couldn't move, couldn't breathe, none of that. He said he was tapping out in his mind. Look at the 74 that was lingering. He said he was tapping out in his mind, saying, okay. Like, you ain't no chump. You ain't no chump. He said, and he said he knew then and there, this being is real. He is true. He said he would still question every now and again, so he would be talking shit in his mind or speaking telepathically during the class, not even knowing he's speaking telepathically because all he's doing is thinking. But guess who was able to access everybody the fuck mind that was around him? So he just talking, running his mouth, saying shit like, then he asked questions. He said, but then Malachi York would answer the questions that he was asking in his head. And it shook him up. So he started to test them and ask random shit. And Malachi would answer the random questions. This a grown man telling me this, by the way. And he ain't the only one that done said shit like this. My very own biological mother, my Umi, was telling me when I was younger that she was coming from out of the world into this. She started to have her activation around age 19 when she met Tassili, who was my spiritual aunt. When she met Tassili, who got that Raw Reality food chain, she still was wearing perm and everything in her head when she met Tassili. But when she met her, Tassili opened the door and she said she was talking in her mind like, I ain't even supposed to be here. I still got all this perm. They got all this natural hair. I'm dressed like this. And Tassili was like, stop talking like that. You are supposed to be here. And it shook my mama. It shook her because she didn't say that shit out loud. So they started to have that conversation like, yo, you can hear what I'm saying? And then Tassili would respond to her telepathically and say, yeah, and you can hear what I'm saying. So that's when she found out what telepathy really is. When I say stuff like we speak with telepathy, we do. The people around us don't. So they can't hear us talk back. You see what I'm saying? But we speak telepathy, family, and we hear your thoughts. All right, so anyway, Naomi was explaining how she found her way into the information, looking at one of the images that was on the wall of someone who had green skin. And she said, why does this seem familiar to me? She found her way to Tama Ray. And she would be in class and they had the sisters that would be with her. And she would write down her questions after a while, right? She started writing down her questions because she realized that she'd be thinking something and he'd answer it. So she started putting him to the test every spirit. Reason why they don't want to test Dr. Melikazi York is because they know that when they test him, y'all are going to see who he is. And that's the worst nightmare for someone who's been living in illusion. You with me? Who trying to make it seem like they the ones who divinely aligned and all of that and ain't did no works that show and prove that. Okay, watch. So my Umi would be in the class and she would write down the questions. And Malachi would answer them telepathically. So the sisters that were around her started to pick up on that. And they like, okay. And they would give her certain questions to ask him. So she would write down their questions. And their questions would get an answer. So it showed that Maomi was not only telepathic, Dr. Melikazi York is telepathic, yet they, the two of them, were telepathically inclined with one another. What if I told you that Dr. Melikazi York never had a conversation with Maomi? Meaning, verbally, they never spoke to one another. The only time she said he exchanged a single word to her was the word rahubat. And it was when he was eating his food, a salad, and everybody was gathering around him and he was just trying to eat, but everybody trying to talk to him. You see what I'm saying? All over his food and everything. And she's standing behind, like she said she was at an elevated plane able to see it. And she's standing behind watching it happen. And then one of the brothers, or some of the brothers, came up to her. It was like, why are you standing behind the master? And one of them was like, you know, it was really a woman who shot Dr. King, right? And my Umi went the fuck off on them. Loud. And was saying if nobody was supposed to be standing behind him, then all y'all need to be fired. Because how I get here then? If he's supposed to be protected. And what the fuck that supposed to mean? A woman, my Umi wasn't nothing to play with. Still ain't nothing to play with. Not a single joke. You see what I'm saying? So after that, he heard it because he here. She said he was like leaning back in his chair, like he leaned back to look at her. And he said, Rahubat. But she thought he was talking to one of the little boys who was running past at that time. So she didn't say nothing because she thought he was talking to the little boy. So the niggas, the men got offended then. Like, why you didn't say nothing to him when he said Rahubat? And she was like, I didn't know he was talking to me. I thought he was talking to the little big head boy who was running. You know what I'm saying? So, but again, they always communicated They just didn't communicate verbally. There was a time where we were on the way to Tamare. We were on the way to our land in Edenton, Georgia. And my Umi was playing what was it? There's something about the name Jesus. It is the sweetest name I know. Something like that. It was one of them songs, but I know whatever song it was, it irritated my stepfather. And he was like, why you playing this Jesus stuff? All this white Jesus, da da da. And he kept turning the radio down. And my Umi kept turning the radio up. She's like, yo, why you jamming out? You know what I mean? Let it play. So he got upset with her, tried to argue with her, fight with her. So we get to the land, right? They go to class. I don't experience this part because I wasn't in class with the adults. But they go to class. And first of all, when you pull up to the land, guess what's playing, y'all? We pull up to the land. There's something about the name Jesus. So now what you gonna say? He playing it on the speakers. You see what I'm saying? And you would have thought that was just a coincidence that it stops right there, right? No. They go to class. Malachi says, anybody who don't like to hear the name Jesus, get the hell away from them. Get away from them. And my Umi did the thing. She looks at my stepfather like, because nigga, you just made a whole scene about me playing that song. And we come to the land and it's playing. You see what I'm explaining to you? So a lot of people had the verbal communication, the physical experience, all of that. My Umi was telepathically, psychically aligned with Malachi York. And she was there in the last class. This is important. My Umi was there in the last class. And he said, according to my Umi and my aunt said the same thing to me not too long ago. So my Umi said it when I was younger, and my aunt just said it recently, a few months ago. He said, when all of this is over, only 9 of you will be with me. He said, only the true psychics. He said, I created AEO to sift through and find the true psychics among y'all. When all of this is over, only 9 of you going to be with me. So let me ask y'all a question. Why, in the last class, listen to what I'm saying, because there's a story where there's a last something. And he told us about that story. Why, in the last class, was Malachi York speaking about the FBI, GBI, IRS, people who are there just for the money. Watch this person. Watch that person. And why did he slide in there? Y'all may not think this means anything now, but you better know this story, because when it happens, if you don't know the story, you ain't going to know what to do. And everybody just sitting there listening to him talk. And he told them to read Jesus' story so they could be familiar with it. Specifically the part where he has to go to prison and be interrogated and accused. And then that was the last class. I think it was 3 days later that Tamare got raided and they incarcerated Malachi. Do y'all see what I'm explaining to y'all? This ain't normal. It's not normal. And you have to also make it make sense. I'm going to bring it up again. If I was 3 when they locked him up, which I was, May 2002, I was 3 years old. I remember the day. If I was 3 years old when they locked him up and raided our land, fast forward 23 years, and you see who I am. And I never walked with him and talked with him and none of that physically. So this is not a normal being. He's not normal. And this is not a normal story. And this is not a normal hour for us to just be on live talking about this. something is aligning. I know it. I ain't gonna know what it is until it happens, and then I'll see. This man among us, I bear witness to, and I didn't even meet him physically. You can't say, oh, it was because you was raised a Nuwapian. I know plenty people who were raised Nuwapian, 21 Savage being one of them. Need I say more? Need I say more? It's not I was raised a Nuwapian. It's not my mama raised me Nuwapian. It's not my dad was a Nuwapian. It's not any of that. It's I was selected to do a thing that I ain't even know all the details about, or I forgot them, which may have been a part of it. And I have been doing that thing ever since I made the verbal statement of I was going to fight. When I told my homie, I said, I'm going to fight. When we stood on that land, listen, I have not let go of the rope. You can't tell me it's the books. You can't tell me it's some other shit. And here I am. I just finished the Protect the Crown scroll. I came here into this world on purple light. It's something else happening. This purple light being is different. It's some other stuff happening. And it's so advanced because I'm not able to sit in class with Pops and ask him, what does this mean? And I'm able to figure all this stuff out on my own. Or I got help. You get what I mean? I'm able to figure this stuff out where I'm having experiences that I ain't even hear nobody talking about. I don't know what. Ain't nobody ever talked to me about what it means when the tones go off over your house and they flash the green light in the middle of a thunderstorm or a tornado. Nobody talked to me about that. You see what I'm saying? All I could think of is when he was saying that there was green lights that would flash. I think it was a doomsday thing. 1996, somewhere around that time, something like that happened where there was a boom and a green light and nobody knew what it was, but he kept writing the date on a board and nobody knew what the date meant. He said, you'll see. And then there was some type of celestial event that took place that nobody could explain. He said that was a sign, a literal signal from the Nibiru. You with me? Part of me talking to y'all is to show you I don't really know all of it. You know what I'm saying? I'm still figuring this out. However, one thing I can see is so many people hate this man for no reason. This man is innocent. They refuse to look at that. They still say crucify him. And he was put on the cross. And they still saying crucify him. How much of a threat to this man, how much of a threat to these people is he? That he already been locked up for more than 2 decades. And they still trying to tear his name down. You got people still trying to prove that he's guilty. If y'all had that much proof that he was guilty, it would have been said and done. End of the story. He locked up. Life goes on. Something telling me to play that shit. So I'm going to play this shit. Let me see. Because I ain't heard it in a while. Let me see. Prepare for the arrival of Christ. And I feel the clock. How many people can feel the clock, bro? I don't know how to explain this shit. I feel the clock. The clock, you have to be in tune with you have to be in tune with the 3 degrees of it. The Sphinx, the clock, and what's behind it, the Stargate. Boy, it's not even, it's like Neo, like the illusion of choice. Like, I feel like, yeah, I'm making the decisions to do certain things, But ultimately, something else is like, it's like I might have had a built-in fail-safe or a switch that every time the clock ticks, I turn more inward. I got to start asking y'all, do it make sense? I got to start just talking to y'all straight out, because if I don't, I'm going to lose my mind. I'm going to lose my mind. I can't lose my mind. It's different. People are different. And it's not stopping. It's not stopping. You know what I mean? Like, time speeds up. Then it slows down. Then it speeds up. It's breathing. Then I hear people talking about, oh yeah, time's speeding up. I ain't heard nobody talk about that other side, where it'll be Monday for 3 days. Who did that? You know, so I'm watching, and I'm not the only one going through it. My wife going through it. I'm watching her go through it. I don't know if it's a proximity thing or it's because of who we were before we came to one another, that we were already on the path. Either way, yo, this shit is happening in real time. It's happening. Detachment is happening. I'm not asking for it. It's just happening. More fasting, all kind of stuff taking place. I'm like, I don't understand, but I seek to. He I don't know. It's plain. It's clear. It's clear. It's plain. It's plain as day. What did it say? He said it plain as black and white. Any fool can see. You know what I'm saying? And he said, listen to his songs. There's a hidden message in all of them. Plain as black and white. So, I don't know, man. It is clear. The astral realm is clear. Everything is so clear and vivid. Where I'm at right now makes sense. The things around me make sense. When you meet this point, ain't no going back. Then I understand why I'm in tune with the clock. Here's how I understand. I know why I made the 9th hour cover what it is. Right? Because this is art now. Art is divine. So divinity it's another language. So this is in the Protected Crown book. It's the last image you'll see. Right? However, this comes from the Cooking with Kaya music video. But I kept going back to look at the image. I said, okay, I've seen the red Moses. I've seen the green Al-Khidr. Who is the purple? Who is that? And why, when I came here, did I come with purple light? Everybody I asked, they didn't really give me no answer. The closest answer I get is that green and purple come together. So, okay. All right. Green and purple come together. That makes sense because You close your eyes and you see green and purple. Or you go into darkness. I don't know about everybody, but I see green and purple dancing around me. So, okay, that makes sense. Scientifically, I could test that. Same way I test green. Okay, I see Hulk. Okay, another super being. Certain things I want to say, I can't say because certain people are going to take me saying it for me claiming it. I'm not trying to claim anything. I really am like seeking to find out. And what's so crazy is while I'm trying to seek to find out a title of a thing, my ass is doing more than what a title would claim, if that makes sense. Meaning, it don't even require no title. It's more of the action of the being, the nature of the being. So I'm like, well, then that's probably the issue. Maybe they're looking for a title instead of bearing witness to the being when it's there. They never realize it when it's there. Shock G was saying that about Tupac in the Hip Hop Evolution documentary. He was like, when Pac left, he dropped to his knees and was crying. And he said he didn't know who Pac was until, Tupac. He said he didn't know who Tupac was until he left. He said, that's when I knew who he was. Y'all see what I'm saying? So that within itself is like, nobody asked Shock G, okay, who was Tupac? Then 2 years later, I'm born. Now I'm here, and this is what my life done led it to. Y'all see what I'm standing on? The music, everything is just different. My music is different. The sound carries. My tone, voice, teaching, all that carries. My whole thing is, what is this for real? You know, so art helps me figure it out because I know art is divine and how it comes together is divine. Once something is complete, there's still a divine aspect to it where it will never truly be complete. That's the divinity's point. So this image here, it speaks volumes. It's a powerful being whose aura is purple. And that's where I found another one of the images from, I think, 2020. And it was the image that I took in front of one of the houses. Let me see if I can find it real quick. I probably had to go to more recent. Oh, no, I probably deleted it and uploaded another way. Well, the image where I had on my white and the black under it, and I just look at the being and observe it, and there's like this, I don't know how to explain this shit. It seems like it only is going to click when I cross. Let me show you something that I didn't even plan to show you. Let's look at this. This look like something out of a movie, don't it? This look like some sci-fi shit. You see all them cars, all the brothers' cars lined up? You see how they were riding? Do you see the pyramids in the background? Do you see all the brothers? Do you see the child right there? You see the tables right above some of the brothers' heads to the right? You see the obelisks over there to the left? You see the pylons over there far left? This is just a piece of our land. This right here, I promise you my right hand to the Most High, I'm not telling you no fear. Sometimes I have to literally sit and remind myself that it happened. I have to sit and literally remind myself, bro, you were there. You saw the Holy Land. You were there. I have to remind myself it happened because if I don't, it's so beyond this reality. The shit can fuck around and become a dream in your memory. So I hold on to the rope and I be having to take myself back there. Remember the fish? Yeah, I remember the fish. What did they do? They used to swim up to me and look me in my eyes like humans. How old were you? 2 years old, 3 years old, 4 or 5 years old. You can never forget Tama Ray. That's why I called out to my brother Cher. I'm like, bro, but then I'm like, maybe you not who I am. Because, okay, I'll speak for myself. I could never forget Tama Ray. Even if I have to sit and remind myself. Listen, there was just something about when you walked onto the land. I'm telling y'all this, and they took the land when I was 6, 7 years old. You hear me? They took the land when I wasn't even a teenager. So I'm not even able to even make sense of all this stuff, how some people can. But I remember vividly. I remember we had some devices on the land. They were telephones. You would go and sit in it. If you can imagine a bowl sitting on its side. Now, you can't see that nowhere in this image. That's what I'm telling you. There was way more to Tama Ray than what they show you. But there were phones on the land where you sit in it like a throne. And you could talk to someone on the other side of the land. And y'all sit there and you talk, and it's like y'all right there with one another. You see what I'm saying? Blasphemy against the spirit, knowing the truth, seeing the truth, and rejecting the truth. That's why Jesus says even the devil believes. Well, good thing I don't believe. You know what I mean? I don't have no belief system. I remember, though, that we had a church sitting on Tama Ray, the tabernacle, the holy tabernacle of Christ, the ancient Egyptian church of Karest is what it was called. And when you flew over the land, Malachi York made sure that everybody who flew over it could see a very specific statement. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son. He made sure you could see that. And he also made sure that when you rode past, you saw the Holy Land. Right? So you can be a Christian so much so in this mainstream world that you become demonic. You could be righteous in this world so much so that you become a devil and you spew venom. So be mindful of that. You could think, oh, no, I'm doing this for Jesus. Jesus ain't nowhere around this. It's just you and your ego. Jesus don't need you to. Isa wouldn't need you to do that. They got it under control. Who you say you spoke with your bro and his mate through those devices? You were there? Yeah, listen, this was different. I don't know how to... Like, man, this shit is powerful. I'm telling you, this shit can make you break down and cry out of nowhere. You feel what I'm saying? This shit can make you break down and cry out of nowhere. Like, bro, this was amazing. It was beautiful, most beautiful thing probably ever happened on this planet. And I was there, and I was one of them children. And they never want to talk to us. You see that child right there? How the child is looking and trying to see what's going on. That was us. But they don't want to talk to us. They try to convince us things happen to us like we was in the movie Indictment. You feel what I'm saying? How they were trying to convince them children of that? They did that to us. That was us. Well, they didn't understand what was inside of us. We were aware children. We weren't taught Santa Claus. We never thought listen, if you want to know why certain people struggle with belief, their parents told them Santa Claus was real when they was 2, 3 years old. So they're going to struggle with belief until that curse is broken. You see what I'm saying? Now, I want to see if it's in the will of divinity, if I can find what I'm looking for. I want to see if I can find where the children were talking. I really hope I can find it right now. Because the children were saying, we were talking about what they did to us and how they treated us when they came onto our land. Let me see. Let me find it. I want to show y'all something, right? Because remember, people only read articles about Dr. Malachi York. If they really cared, they would have listened to us. But they don't care. They don't care that we lost our land. They don't care that we were scattered. They don't care we ended up in defects. They don't care they tortured our parents. They don't care about any of that. All they care about is tearing him down. So let me see if we can find this real quick. Because I know I got this one. Oh, it's not a link, so I have to download it. Maybe I could play it from my computer, though. But where is the shit at? God, I know I got them children. The children are on there speaking. And ain't nobody in their right mind going to be able to listen to these children talk. And, you know what I mean? Unless you just don't have no heart. But they don't care about us. Let's see. Where is that? Did I call it that? Malachi York is innocent. But again, only you bear false witness. If you calling him that, you bear false witness. And I know you know better than that. Because you weren't even around. So you're slandering. You see, you a devil. You are a jinn. You bear false witness. You ain't even around. How would you say that? Let me see if I can find it. So listen to what he's saying. He was saying, I was under duress. When they made that plea deal video and said he was pleading guilty, he said, I was under duress. Because y'all have to explain this to me. And especially for people who like just read articles, right? And for some reason, you've been sent to do whatever you're here to do, right? And we're going to deal with you how we deal with you. So good luck. For those of you who just read articles and feel the need to spew amber, how did Dr. Malachi York take a plea deal and end up with 135 years? And while you getting your tongue out your behind, because that's what happens every time they try to, that don't make sense, does it? Anybody know how plea deals work? You take a plea deal and get 135 years? Does anybody think that makes sense, that has sense? The whole purpose of a plea deal is to what? Who here? The purpose of a plea deal is to get less time. So you're telling me he took a plea deal, he pled guilty, which some reason civilians think, because you ain't been through nothing, civilians think that pleading guilty means you're saying you're guilty. You don't know legalese. Pleading guilty does not mean you're saying you're guilty. Pleading guilty says, let me not have to take it to trial for them to railroad me. And he did not want to take a guilty plea. He said it over and over again. When he got the opportunity to speak, he said, I never even got a chance to read the agreement. I never got a chance to read the plea. Y'all gonna straight overlook the one going through what they're going through. You're gonna straight disregard them and listen to what y'all saying once again to one of the ones coming through to help. Y'all said, crucify him. Y'all said, crucify him. And you didn't know whether or not he was innocent, but you chose to side with, not even Pilates, you chose to side with the Roman government. You chose to side with what they were saying. And you never decided to look into anything, do your own research, any of that. This is how we know who y'all are. This is how we know who y'all are. You know what I'm saying? Let me see if I can find it, though. But when I find it, I'm going to play it. Because the children were talking. Yeah, Dr. York tortured. Guilty plea. Part 3 of... Maybe that's it. Maybe, but if I can find the actual link. Boom. All right. Let's listen to some of the children talk.
Just had slippers on.
This was us. Remember, we real people, but they turned us into a Google story. We're real people, though, by the way, if you didn't know.
Some people just had slippers on.
Right there, back here behind him, that's the bridge I used to play on. It was a long bridge, right? And you had a pond down here you can't really see behind here. But there were beautiful fish that used to ride. Listen, we had 476 acres of land. We had our own city. Damn near. Listen to how we speak, right? Now, this is 2004, 1 year before they came and demolished the land. Let's listen.
All of them had guns on them. All they was wearing all black, yellow FBI thing, the hat and everything. Boots, regular, you know, the regular gear that the agents wear. They had the face mask. Some had the face mask. The person that busted our door, he had the face mask, and he was the first one that came in with the gun. There was 2 of them, just in case. I guess they started shooting or something. He had the gun and everything. 2 of them out the door, and that's when everybody was swarmed in. And they was like, "Wait, don't move!" Because we got up like scared. They just busted the door, and they ran to the door. And I was like, that's when I guess I kind of put them like, "No, don't move," because they know we were doing nothing. A few people try to hide.
That we was like, "What's going on?" And that's when there was like, Miss York is in jail and Kath Johnson, and then all of them just start crying in chairs and stuff like that. This is because of molestation. We was like, molestation? He never molested nobody.
Boom. That's us talking, by the way. These are my folks. These are my family. We were all family. We all looked out for one another. They never want to talk to us. You see what I'm saying? Listen to what she just said. This is one of the younger girls around the time. This is 2004. Right? We all here. Everybody's here. We're just in different places. Okay? On the land. Well, listen to what she says and how it was responded.
Stuff like that. This is because of molestation. We was like, molestation? He never molested nobody.
I first got involved in this case the next day following the arrest, and what I can only describe as
arrest. 6. Over me for this case. I knew this was all a big plot, and he didn't want to fight this case because he was made a deal with them. Took over $1.5 million, as I'm told by my sister, in cash money from our tribe, and just flaunted it and didn't even use it. Never intended on having a trial, intended to put me in a bogus plea, but they knew I wasn't going to take a plea, so they could torture me into taking a plea.
He said they knew I wasn't going to torture. He said they knew I wasn't going to take a plea. He said he wanted to go to trial. He said they knew I wasn't going to take a plea, so they tortured me into taking a plea. Let me tell you something. This is the sharpest man I've ever seen in my life. Right? This not how he is. And when you see the video they put out there, for one, there shouldn't even be no video. Right? Because if there's a video of him giving a plea deal or taking a plea deal, where the video of the trial? You watch YSL, you watch their whole trial when niggas was eating sandwich on break, you saw them niggas. They got one video, and the video is, oh, he pled guilty, because they know the masses is stupid. When the masses see he pled guilty, they going to think that this means he's saying he's guilty because they don't know law. Or they don't understand legalese, rather. You see what I'm explaining to you? So watch.
Now, in that torture, you were, what was the experience that you learned of the other co-descendants? I was told that they were being treated the same way I'm treated. That means I was given a concrete floor with real pork bad food, wasn't getting my medication, watching rats and roaches, bugs and stuff, in the midst of some very dangerous criminals, both galleries, fights breaking out, people getting stabbed, suicides. I watched 4 or 5 people commit suicide. I was put in the middle of a riot in Atlanta, and some guy hung, some Italian guy from the mafia supposed to hung himself when there was a riot between the Florida boys and the Georgia boys, all this going in the black Muslims, you know what I mean? And I said, yeah, these kids are something that they think, I knew that the sheriff already just sealed, right? Guy named these 2 young ladies, which is Sandra Latkin and Khadija Merritt, out of an AEO magazine that we put out. That's the only people in this case involved 3 people that's in a magazine. That's where he got the name from. He got Johnson, because Kathy Johnson is standing behind me in the magazine while we're advertising Egyptian attire for our lodge. Those 2 girls are being described as having, looking exactly or reference to the ancient Egyptian deities, right? So that's where he got the Sandra Latkin, Khadija Merritt, and Kathy Johnson to put the case. They figured they'll torture them. If I think they're tortured, I know that Kathy suffered from MS.
I'm going to see if I can find the other part to this before this part. I know the children were talking more. So let's go part 1 of 12. So this is when they was raiding our land. Okay, remember again, we real people, but these devils don't care.
The state government, in conjunction with the Justice Department, the FBI, the GBI, the Department of Natural Resources, U.S. Forestry, multiple federal departments, and law enforcement agencies invaded and raided 404 Shadydale Road, Eatonton, Georgia, Putnam County. They came with the intention of murdering innocent men, women, and children. This was obvious because of the massive display of automatic weapons, helicopters, riot gear, the overwhelming enormity of armed manpower, armored vehicles, refrigerator trucks, and the display of body bags.
Y'all want him to be guilty. Y'all wanted Christ to be guilty. Y'all are the children of the ones who said crucify him. They said put it on our blood, put it on the blood of our children. Y'all are the children. All of y'all who out here saying he guilty, y'all the children of the one who say crucify Isa. His birth name is Isa, by the way. Go figure. And he say he not Jesus. Go figure. His mother's name is Mary, by the way. But go figure, even though he say he not Jesus. Go figure. And y'all are screaming crucify him, and you weren't there. I was literally there. We watched the conspiracy unfold. You know what I'm saying? Fucking demons. He went through all the schools. Master teacher. Rabboni. Proven. Over and over again. He never said he was Jesus. Exactly. That should tell you right there. He said Jesus was coming. So what's y'all problem? There's someone who comes that's just like Jesus. The Son of Man is like Jesus. He shows up. He's doing all the stuff. He said, I'll be thought to be the Messiah, but I'm not the Messiah.
And they have no evidence. And they know we're not ready to beat this case, so now they're trying to put a curveball in this situation. And hopefully...
And then all the people who may be new to this, There's so many people who came out and said, listen, this never happened. This never happened. I'm telling you, I won't see the live. After I get out here, I make sure that I'll never even know your corner exists. You understand? Because I already know what you're put there for. That's why I followed you. That's why I put that on you. Like I said, good luck. Right? All the people who was coming out saying this stuff happened, they said it never happened. They came back and recanted. Watch.
The public won't know what's really going on. That's why they're trying to close the court. They thought they had me dead to right. All that stuff they put it back in May was right. All that filth and all that stuff is true. All the witnesses, all that there. They would want on television. Don't tell me that. This would be one of the greatest shows they have in the public. Right now, with the Michael Jackson case going on too, and the Pope things just came back on the Catholic ministers too. This would be a beautiful one. Why would they want to hide this one? And don't tell me they're trying to protect no children because there's no children in the case. Everybody in this case is over 18 years old.
Leader was arrested. There was a huge FBI Waco-style raid.
Virtually all of my personnel, well, don't get me wrong, there's still deputies on patrol, and those on patrol are here, along with approximately 20 from the Columbia County Sheriff's Office over in Athens, Georgia, maybe 15 to 20 from the Baldwin County Sheriff's Office, another 15 to 20 from the Jones County Sheriff's Office in Gray, Georgia. There are 2 DNR personnel there and 2 federal United States Forest Service personnel there. And there were probably, at some juncture in time, close to 200 FBI agents.
Why didn't you so many? And how come they got machine guns and cannons and helicopters and bombs?
I would suggest that you ask the FBI why they have their equipment.
I thought you were heading this investigation, Sheriff Seals.
Did you not understand my response? I would suggest you ask the FBI why they have helicopters and things, as to why my officers have weapons that they have.
Were they threatened?
Ordered them to possess them.
Were they threatened by the people on this land? Excuse me.
Since the group moved to Georgia, it has been perceived as a threat to public order, as a dangerous, potentially violent, black pack-like, quote, racist organization.
Say you met Muslims tonight and they showed you love and respect. That's what's up.
The judges work together, the lawyers are working together, the building inspectors working together. Everybody's all teamed up in a little KKK clique down there.
The group does not have a history of violence, and yet the FBI's 2002 military raid on Tamaray involved armored trucks, tear gas, snipers, helicopters, mounted with machine guns, not to mention body bags in a refrigerated van.
On May 8th, 2002, the Nawabians' land was raided by 300 federal and state law enforcement agents. The people who were present during the raid on the Nawabians' land were women, children, and a very few number of men. The agents held guns to the children's heads while screaming foul language and threatening to kill them.
Listen, these people came onto the land and they supposed to be talking about some, we here to save y'all. Yet they put guns to our heads. Told us to get the fuck down. Told us they'll blow our fucking head off. It's like they had the whole intention to traumatize us. But the masses is being told, oh, they came and rescued us from a bad man who was a monster hurting us. And y'all went for it. And then, like, I don't understand how we can tell y'all this wasn't going on. We can literally say this wasn't going on. Relatives of the people who were involved literally with the case were coming out saying, they told me this never happened, that the FBI made them say it. People were involved in the case on stand was saying, people who was in the FBI made me say this. Certain names, certain agents were called for saying they made me say this happened. I said this never happened. They told me what to say. So the trial was a shit show, needless to say. That's why there ain't no footage of the trial. Y'all get what I'm trying to tell you? That's why you don't see the trial. Could they show y'all the trial, you're going to see people saying, bro, what the fuck? None of this happened. The transcripts is lies. The transcripts is lies. That's why a lot of what we telling y'all that actually took place in the trial, because people like my aunt showed up to watch the trial or watch the tape they were playing. Listen to me. And that ain't in the transcript. A lot of that stuff didn't pop up in the transcript. So let me ask you a question. If all you got on this case is a transcript, you think you understand what you're looking at? They left a lot of stuff out of there. And they blocked people from like testifying on his behalf. They blocked people from doing that. You couldn't cross-examine. You couldn't do none of that. It was a whole hearsay case. Literally.
All of this has had an effect on the children, even unto this day.
But so I see vans coming down, and Mona was like, she was happy, couldn't even have more dinner. And I had asked her, what was that? And I told her to look at it. And she said, get down. And I was like, why? She said, just get down. So we was all ducking down. And getting how scary it was. Some kids were very scared. They was like, I wish I would die already.
You heard what the young boy said? He said a lot of the children were afraid. He said he heard some children say, I wish I would die already. This is what we were going through while people was at home watching the news and talking about it and been talking about it for 23 years late, right? Or 22 years so far. This is what we went through.
And getting how scary it was. Some kids were very scared. They was like, I wish I would die already.
Oh, those patting us down as we left the door too. They patted us down.
I'm going to post this on my page. Somebody DM me
The man was by the side
and remind me to put these videos of the children together to show people what was going on.
with the infrared on you as you're walking down the stairs. You can see it as you're walking down the stairs on your shirt. And I know I reached to grab my shoes, and the guy was like, don't move, some movements. I was like, all right, so I was walking down. We had to walk, and some people had no shirts on. They didn't let us grab our shirts, our shoes, nothing. They was patting us down and everything.
And their mother was telling them about people coming up with the guns. First thing I thought was two people with guns right when we come out the door to shoot us. But it was different. It was bad in there.
My mother went to the door and she yelled out, the door is locked. And they said, open the door. So my mother unlocked the door and she opened the door. When she opened it, they was pointing the gun right at my head. And they told me I was like most of the youngest. I was only the only boy in there. So they told me while I was walking down the stairs, they was checking my pockets.
When I got out the house, people had guns pointed at us, checking our pockets and stuff. Like we had something, checking babies' pockets. Who would give their son a gun?
People would have to go use the bathroom.
See how we got sense? See how we think? Like, who would give their son a gun? We're not idiots. We ain't even know idiots was out here like this.
People had guns pointed at us, checking our pockets and stuff. Like we had something, checking babies' pockets. Who would give their son a gun?
People would have to go use the bathroom. They walked to the bathroom watching them with a gun, expecting them to use the toilet, and they didn't. So they said, never mind, because they was going to sit there and watch them. And that's when we followed back in the living room. We asked to get our shoes. Somebody had to get some medicine, and they wouldn't let them. And that's when, because somebody had a heart murmur, and it was like shaking real bad, so they had to get the medicine, but they didn't let them. And that's when they said they needed it real bad. So they had to walk them all the way in there. Hardly could walk and get their medicine, and then I had to drink it with no water. They didn't let them get no water. And we had to walk barefooted on the hot concrete, and they was eating our food, using our dishcloths to wipe their sweat and stuff like that. And they all put us in the temple. They was explaining what was going on. Sisters was asking questions. Those told me to shut up with the guns in their faces.
One by one, it was 6 of them, I think. Each of them they had like semi-automatic or automatic, one or two. But that's what they had, and some of them was pointed at us, and some of them wasn't. I just saw look like cops. At first I thought it was cops, and I just saw them pointing guns at the brothers in their hand, and a whole bunch of brothers putting their hands up and stuff. They got on the ground, and then I ran. I was like, yo, look, they got the brothers in their handcuffs and stuff. You know, everybody else came through the window. One of the boys he came up to us and said, hey, y'all, you know there's some people that got the brothers with their hands up. At first I thought he was joking, so I was like, why are you joking for? And he said, no, I'm not joking. And I realized that he wasn't joking about how serious his face was. So I went and took a look out the window. When I looked out there, I seen like four FBI cars riding up the hill.
I had hid under the bed and I was scared. I felt like I was about to die. And then that's when they bust open our room door and they was telling us to get, it was me, Lizzie under one bed, and the other bed next to ours was Lori and Eli under the other bed. They told us to get from under the bed so they blow our brains out of our head. And that's when I was scared. So I got up slowly. Hank was telling us to get up slowly, put our hands in the air. They had the guns in our backs and in our heads. And I was shaking real bad. I was real scared.
We was getting our Bibles out to pray and stuff, and they snatched the Bibles out of our hands. Some people cried how hard they snatched it out their hands. Then they pointing guns up to babies' hands and heads and stuff. The next one, I didn't see one handgun in that thing. I seen all shotguns and stuff like that. I didn't see one little sniper little thing. It was big guns. They did it to my sister, and my sister was about like 2 years old or something. And
I seen the boys ride the tram down on their knees praying, and I saw Issa down on his knees praying, but he was crying. And then they told him to get up and go to the temple. Issa away. They took Issa away, and this old white lady, she went with Issa and sat down on the tram. And then my sister, my older sister, said that she was getting ready to cry, but once she saw when they took Issa away, and he haven't came back, she said, okay, I'm not crying. And then they was getting out handprints and stuff. And then they told us that 15 to 20 minutes later, she comes out with the picture. He comes out with the picture of all of us. And we didn't know that they was going to take a picture of us holding that thing. They took a picture of all of us holding it.
Actually not, but it was somewhere in Macon, and they took this lady asking this question to the camera saying, Mr. York touch you anywhere? Was you ever alone with him in a room? Did he show you different pictures of naked people?
Yeah. How parents ever abused us.
Their parents ever abused them.
It was like something like you see on the news, like war in Iraq, people with the guns running in. That's how I basically seen it.
So they said on the count to 5, we're going to bust the door down. And the next one, we were still trying to put our shoes on and stuff. And they wouldn't let us put our shoes on, so they busted the door on the count to 5. They busted it open, almost broke our door. Now I can't even lock it anymore. For the next one, we wasn't able to put our shoes on, slippers on, or nothing. Some people had bare feet walking on rocks, on their very hot rocks. The next one, it was sunny outside. And they knew that I had a big sleeve shirt on, so I was suffering because I was very hot. And they had to stay out there for a long time.
Some people that have no slippers, they had to walk barefoot. They had no socks and stuff. After that, we went in the hot sun. We were sitting down on the ground, and one of them asked if we wanted to go in the temple, and people was like, no. And I said, they was like, okay, we're going to the temple. And people was like, can they get any water? I said, we was like, no.
Some people had their slippers on, they wouldn't let them put their shoes on. One boy, he grabbed for his shoes, and they said, no, they can't get it. So some people, they were walking on bare rocks. Some people just had
telephone calls, get to send my mail, the poor, that's important, a whole bunch of things, and just outright verbal and physical abuse. Now, prior to this so-called agreement that was given to you, what was told to you about the other co-descendants during this whole torturous experience? What they told me that those people would go home free, totally free. There'd be nothing to be all over with, and you'd be the one that bears the burden. But after all, you're the trophy that Putnam County won. The state of Georgia wants you. That's it. The land, they leave their people in those land alone, and everything will go away. That's promises that they were lying. They kept me up for 3 days, violence first. They kept sending their own psychiatrist, and they kept me up all the way to the day before. I don't know how many hours exactly, beating That thing had about 8 hours to make a decision on the plea. It wasn't like I had time to go back and forth and evaluate it on him. He kept him all night with the guy who decided I didn't finish this morning. We got the plea now this morning. And my stepdaughter, Michelle York, was there to verify that.
Now, Mr. York, or Chief Black Thunderbird Eagle, as I should say, to show you honor and respect, it just says that there's 1 more minute for your call, but I do have more questions and would like for you to call back if that's at all possible.
I'll call back.
Okay, I'm going to hang up now. Yes, hello?
Hello. You have a collect call from Malachi.
Hello?
Robat.
Robat. My crew, Chief Black Thunderbird Eagle, we left off at discussing the plea agreements.
Yes.
Now, within these plea agreements that you were tortured into taking,
right,
was the 476 acres of land, and I think I also heard of an exuberant amount of money that was taken during the raid.
Right.
Were those all mentioned in this plea agreement?
I never got a chance to read the plea agreement. That's the whole thing. They kept me under the pressure and scrutiny of their psychiatrist over the whole night. And then took me back to the cell around 4 or 5, and then called me back out at 6 before I could even get back to get to sleep. And then started with the plea agreement. I never read the papers. I never knew nothing about the papers like the PSI or PSI, whatever they call it. I didn't know anything about none of that stuff. They already had this thing planned. I know that when they did jump down on those people's land, and the land was verified as theirs and not mine by a judge in Brooklyn County, I think Hugh Winfield, right, they did take an exorbitant amount of money from them. I know when they went into my house in 55 Mansfield in Athens County, Athens, Georgia, Clark County, where I live, where I'm registered, they took money out of my private money out of my house, which is legal.
Right.
I know they didn't find no weapons, they didn't find nothing that would implement me. If they did find anything in my house, it was put in there by Abigail Washington, who was taking care of that house.
So you are registered to vote, and your legal residence is Athens, Clark County?
Clark County, I'm registered to vote. I voted in Clark County. I'm registered when I purchased that house at 155 Mansfield. They asked me my nationality. I made it clear then I was Native American. It wasn't something I came up with overnight.
Right. And going on, just moving forward within this time period, that was January 24th of 2002 that you were tortured and taking these plea agreements. Now, you were imprisoned all the way up and currently still incarcerated all the way up until May 29th was a sentencing date.
Yes.
Now, at that point in time, were you given any indication or anything going on with your case from any of your attorneys between January 24th?
No communication from the Garland firm. Every now and then they would send a little guy in called Charles. Or, you know what I'm saying? He would actually discuss the Bible and history with me. Nothing to do with that. He was trying to get no start. He would not even go into anything with the case. Garland made it clear that he didn't think he could beat this case. And I was like, it's time to get rid of him. After he had taken $1.5 million from our tribe, he was ready to sign over the agreement, which his firm is known for, selling agreements and selling people out. I told him from day one, I did not trust him. And the judge tried to claim the other day that this is some new idea, but that was proven false. The following day by Mr. Ron Peterson in his own article, where he states very clearly that Malachi told the psychiatrist way back that he did not trust Garland. He said he was one of his seals. So if that's true, then the letter I issued to the judge the other morning in downstairs in a private meeting, because he didn't want to hear it in the public, because he was afraid of its implications, that he made his own personal perception that this is something I feel you did. There's a ploy you're doing. If I have that possible, if I honestly told a legally recognized Georgia State psychiatrist that I didn't trust the man, and it's on their record.
So, okay, on May 28th, that is when I was reading in the article that a meeting had taken place between the judge, the Garland firm, and the prosecution. Now, were you present at that meeting?
I was not, but I found out later I was supposed to have been, but I was not present. He went on and moved and with I think, a plea agreement, a whole bunch of different things I didn't know nothing about. All I knew was they were telling me, you're going to plead guilty so you can get these people out, and you're going to get you a medication. You'll be put in a nice facility as an old man where you can, you'll still be able to write your books and do the things you do. But those people, those young women and Kathy Johnson will be free. It'll all be over with. No details were given to me about anything. I've never been in this situation before. I never understood what was going on about this here case. I didn't understand how the federal system works. I didn't understand about pleas. I didn't understand about none of this stuff, about what they call conspiracies and all that kind of stuff. Let alone RICO, all these all new words. That's only television terms to me.
Right. Now, in that meeting, it was brought to my attention that the prosecution was wanting to drop 3 charges. just to get the pleas?
Right. They were going to drop the charges. So they came to the court with the intent to drop the charges. Mr. Lawson didn't want that to happen because Mr. Lawson, of course, working with the system also is trying to protect the indigenous status, and they want to take the and laughter, of course, being way as often laughter doctrine are propagated forever. So they blocked Mr. Mosey from and Mr. Wood, who was there, from put into the court, put before the court that they must respond to it, and they would just actually outright ignore motions like they never existed. Some motions, they actually transformed the motion from one name and put the U.S. government on it so they can hide the motion that was pointing out that Mr. Mosey had to present the intention of sabotaging, or they go ambushing, they go have any more charges, any more things, and they hit that there. And to this day, it was addressed. Another day, Mr. Court was brought up again by Mr. Patrick Adams, the new attorney on the case, and still they're avoiding it.
Well, basically, in the federal system, court system, Dr. York was indicted under the Mann Act, indicted under 4 counts. Right? We had the Mann Act, Title 18, 2014.
It's crazy because I talked to bro. I talked to him. His name Bundy. I talked to him and I talked to Adrian Patrick. I talked to Bundy about like possibly working with Adrian Patrick again because Bundy had expertise in the case and Adrian Patrick had expertise in the case. And this nigga wanted to tell me all the reasons why he ain't feel like working with him or he ain't think it was going to work. I'm like, can I just get y'all to sit down at lunch? They were 2 of the people I was trying to, like, bro, can we just make that move? I'm sitting here talking to you now. Can you just sit with bro and just talk? Can y'all put all that other shit to the side? And they never did it. Never did it. Some friend.
An indictment against Dr. York, they clearly used molestation. The federal government used unlawful sexual activity. Okay? Now, as far as I'm concerned, that was up for challenge. That was up for interpretation in terms of, what were the powers. The powers of Congress include powers to supersede a state offense while the state was actively using that same offense, because Dr. York, okay, in that letter,
until finally convicted by
they got with the attorneys to the
Rima, she moved there. They came to my father's house to live in my father's house. Arlene Hamilton, Karima, she moved there. Ida Nicole Lopez, she came too. And that struck me as odd because when she left, her mother was already off the land. She could have lived with her mother, and she could have lived with her father as well, because her father, he wasn't even involved with the organization. But she was in contact with him. She knew how to get in contact with him. She knew where he lived, because ironically, he didn't even really live that far from my home. He lived about 15 minutes away. And it struck me as odd that she moved there, but then again it didn't, because I knew that she was involved with my brother. She was molesting my brother when he was maybe about 13 or 14. He was living on the land at the time. I think she was like 23, and she was molesting him. So once I remembered that, I was like, okay, so that's why she's here.
It all started when Tia Thomas, who was a girl that I was talking to when she left the land. When she left the land, we started dating, we started to talk. I asked her why she left. She never mentioned anything about molestation, anything like that. She just wanted to just leave because she was upset. She never explained to me why she left totally, but she just left.
I would see Jacob talking to the girls, saying that he wanted to get this plot against his father, and he wanted to go to the FBI, saying that his father was molesting girls, and that he wanted the girls to say that his father
was molesting them.
Jacob told me that some of the girls and boys that left the community had went to the government about different things that was going on in the community, meaning child molestation. Before I left the community, I was the main person in charge of the finances, as well as in charge of anything that went on with the community, the living, eating, anything, the financial, anything that happened regarding any of the members in the community. I dealt with that, so I was basically in charge.
In May of 2001, Jacob invited me on a trip to Florida that he planned for Memorial Day weekend. He told me that a lot of people I knew were going to make me want to go more. He named Habiba Washington, Arlene Hamilton, Esther Cole, Atia Thomas, Nicole Lopez, and Farah Muhammad. He told me to come along with them and maybe I would change my mind. I didn't go on a trip. I stopped communicating with Jacob because he told me I had to choose his world or Mr. York's world.
One case in particular, I saw Lemuel LaRoche, what's his name? Bruce Byeth Smith and Ahmed Smith, they're brothers. They approached Esther Cole and Dina Cole. They came to their apartment and they were like, we need you to say that you were molested by Mr. York and that you saw young children being molested and that you brought children to him so that he could molest them. And they were like, no, we don't want to do that. That never happened. We never saw any children being molested. He never molested us. We don't want to be a part of that. We just want to move on with our lives. Nothing like that ever happened to us.
Jacob told me that the FBI knew who I was and that they were told about certain things that I've done in the community, and some of those things I can be incriminated for. Jacob told me that if I don't go to the FBI first, then they would come after me, they would incarcerate me, they would take my children away from me because there are things that they were told about me that could incriminate me.
I didn't go along with it when he told me he was going to go to the FBI, and I understand if a person is mad, and of course if it's family, you have the right to be mad at whoever you want, but I felt like he was taking a little too far, and I was not going to be in on that one.
With me, it was like you was in charge, you had control of a lot of things, and so anybody could say this about you and it would be believable because you was in charge. There was no denying that I was in charge. I was in charge. So I felt that I had to go along with the story because I couldn't prove anything that anybody would say against me. I didn't feel that I could prove it. I mean, he told me that once they tell the FBI something, the FBI is looking into you. They start looking into me. There was no way that I can prove that what anybody said about me wasn't the truth or wasn't a lie. There was no way. So I felt compelled to just go ahead with the story.
One of the things I like to point out is you have to observe Eric Garland is currently representing one of the attorneys representing T.I. And T.I. was charged with possessing and purchasing machine guns, and he's an established convicted felon. One of my good friends, Dwight Thomas, who's a black attorney, is also one of the counsel for T.I. Now, what they did is when the government came out with the allegations, the first thing they did was have a press conference in front of federal and purchase granted bond, out of which is outside who said proper sexual activity had taken place. Period. That would have been very important at the time of the bond hearing. Critical.
It was May 16th. I was at school on my last period. And I was called. It was like an hour before it was time to leave school. And I was called to go to the counseling office. And I went to the counseling office, and there was a room, and there was a few people, like three people inside the room. They wanted to talk to me. I didn't know what it was about. And I went in the room, and they told me, this is between me, and this is between them and between me, not anybody else. And don't tell my mother and anybody else. It's just between us. And
they was asking me questions about Dr. York, and I was telling them, no, it didn't happen. And then one of the females told me they'll have a paper coming to me in regards if I had, said anything to help the situation, or to tell them, what happened, or whatever, what they think will happen. And I told them it didn't happen, but they kept forcing me, saying that, if I don't say this, then they'll probably put me in jail, or, they'll come a whole bunch of papers and stuff like that. And so I said, and they had me in the room for a minute, and I went to leave, so I said and told them what they wanted to hear, because I was very afraid of the part when the lady was telling me about going to jail and stuff. So I told them what they wanted to hear, and after all of that was done, they came and they was telling me how, because it was later on, it was getting a little late, and I missed my bus, and how they was going to drop me off, but they couldn't do that, so they're saying that they was going to drop me off somewhere close to my house. I came home, and I told my mother, they put fear in me, and I told them what they wanted to hear. So, I was afraid, and I wanted to hurry up and get out of there. And the next day I felt bad about it, and I called Miss Franklin, and I told her it was a conspiracy, and none of this happened. And I felt bad, and I told her that he didn't deserve none of this, because Dr. Malachi, he's a good person, and he didn't do anything to any, nothing happened to anybody or anything like that.
Well, it was just the whole situation with with Malachi York case, and he said those things are not true. My mother forced me into saying those things. I said, oh really? And he said yes, and he said I'm scared because I don't know what to do, and she forced me into saying these things. It's not true, and he asked me what should he do. I said, well, basically what you should do is you should do what's right, tell the truth. Because if you don't tell the truth, then it's probably eating you inside. That's why it's bothering you so much. So, he said, so what should I do? I said, well, it's on you. He said, well, do you think I should, he said, what should, he said something like, should I, should I write it on a piece of paper, or what should I do? I said, well, it's up to you what you want to do. You should, probably just express yourself. If you feel like you have to write it down, express yourself. Do what you need to, because he's my little brother, and it's not. When it comes to family, you would never expect for your family to make up something like that, So knowing that Malachi York got 135 years of something that he never done to anyone. He's accused with so much from different people, And I know my brother told me personally that these things never happened to him, but yet he's still sticking with the story that he was forced to say by his mother, that he was molested, which wasn't true, and we are still here for David, we're his family.
Initially, Dr. York had a black attorney by the name of Leroy Johnson, who was his attorney before the Garland Law Firm, which was a white law firm. Right. Now, during that time, the court had to have
alleged. However, you had to show another crime to show a pattern of racketeering activity, or you could not sustain your RICO charge.
Charge of the finances, and we collected the money, separated. He never sat us down and told us to avoid the FBI or avoid the IRS or avoid doing anything illegal with his money. As a matter of fact, he was very, very serious about handling his finances in a legal way. So anything that happened with the finances, when I was in charge, it was my decision to decide what happened with the finances, where it went, and how it was handled. And the same goes for anybody else who was in charge prior to me or after me. That's how it was done.
What we're saying is, if you're going to bring both charges, separate them. Charge money instruction in one indictment, charge, interstate commerce in another. but by joining them, you justify the recall. And that, I mean, it's still no evidence that the two were connected. I think that was admitted by the government at the arguments.
To come to the house. We went to the house, and then it was her and some other bananas there as well. And he was explaining to her what was going on, meaning that when I went there, they was on the internet harassing Doc on his website and talking to the lady in New York, the reporter in New York, about how they were going to set up this whole conspiracy. I was witness to it, whatever, and I was like looking at her like, wow, why are they doing this? What's going on? So they're talking and, explaining to me, hey, yeah, we're going to do this, we're going to say this, we're going to just organizing what they're going to say to the reporters.
Even while we were in Florida, we met the girls, we meaning the girls, there were a lot of people on the trip, but the girls never went anywhere if Jacob didn't take us. We were always kind of babysat, supervised by Jacob. We always stayed in the hotel. We never went anywhere unless Jacob was there. And while we were at the hotel, he would keep saying, okay, well, I need you to say that you were molested, and I need you to say that you brought children to Mr. York to molest them. And he would just, try to get people to go along with the story. He even tried to get me to go along with the story as well, but I told him, I never lived on the land, so it didn't make sense to say that I was molested because I never lived there. I wasn't close to Mr. York. And that kind of ousted me from the trip because I wasn't in on, the conspiracy, so there was really no need for me to be around or whatever.
But Jacob proceeded to say that there were some things that some of the other ex-members had went to the government with, and that I should really, really talk to them and see what's up and see how I can clear my name so that I'm not prosecuted for any of those things.
Well, Jake was the one who was telling them what to say, and then they came up with, what they're going to say, what sounds right, what sounds believable. But, pretty much, Karima and Ada was on the internet, harassing Dr. York on the internet, saying, you this and you that because of anger. And I asked her, I said, why are you doing this? She said, oh, because I'm just upset. And I was like, okay, cool. I didn't feel comfortable, so I left, and I left Atia there.
In the car ride back, Habiba Washington's in the car, Jacob, Ada, Nicole Lopez, Karima, Arlene Hamilton was in the car. Me and Rashid, we were all in the car, and Jacob brought up the conversation again, how he wanted to go to the FBI with the story of child molestation, and that he needed the girls to say that they were molested. They saw girls and boys being molested, and especially said this to Habiba because she was in charge, and he knew that she was in charge, and he told her that people already had went to the FBI against her, saying that she brought them to Mr. York to be molested, and that there was no way for her to convince the FBI, to prove to FBI that that it never happened, and that she needed to go along with the story so that she wouldn't be brought down with Mr. York. She continued to tell him that he never molested me. I never saw anyone being molested. I don't want to do that. But he insisted on her, going along with the story. They went back and forth about it. And he just told her that they would talk about it later.
On our way back to Florida, the trip back from Florida, we was driving in Jacob's car again. It was myself, Karima, Nicole, Farah, Noah Rashid, and some other driver. I don't remember his name. And Jacob brought up the conversation again, how he thinks that we should really go to the government with a story about his father. Anything that we didn't like in the community, we should go, because his father needed to be in jail. His father did not do good things. He was not happy with his father, and he really felt that a case should be brought up against his father. He really felt that his father should be put away for life, that he did not deserve to live.
Indictment against Dr. York.
The man was outside with the infrared on you as you're walking down the stairs. You can see it as you're walking down the stairs on your shirt.
Tablets of Jeremiah. Those that read denials of Christ. Because the first statement, do you swear, is in violation of the scriptures. You swear to tell the whole truth, one, and nothing but the truth, two. So help you God. Three. Went off with. He wasn't from that city. He came to be under. And then had also planned an immaculate conception through Elizabeth for John. Because Zachariah and Elizabeth was past childbearing also when the angel came to her, and she was found a child of the Holy Ghost also. So John was important that the spirit of Elijah could transport a second portion of himself, that he said he would begin, into John the Baptist, that he could herald in the ruler of Israel, the Lion of Judah. Herald in the ruler of Israel, the Lion of Judah. You follow? So John the Baptist was arrested for killing Jews, for killing Jesus, because they couldn't find Jesus' body. See, this is a standard conspiracy. When you read it, the Bible word for word, and look at it close and see what it's saying, you follow it, the statement, stop trying to look for the highlights and make it feel good. Because that's the Gentiles. They're supposed to read our scriptures and they're supposed to be stimulated by it and thus rejuvenated and get a soul. You understand? Their soul is people. They lost their soul in the book of Joshua 5 where the Spirit left them into Jordan when they saw the Amorites, when they saw us on God. And it says, he repented. Say it again. Matthew 27:8. Walk with me.
Then Judas, which had betrayed him, when he saw that he was condemned, repented himself.
When he saw that he was condemned for betraying Jesus, he what?
Repented himself.
He repented. And what is the whole baptism for? For the remission of sin. So when he made that statement, that he realized he had did the wrong thing by betraying Jesus, he was clean. Said everybody in this room can be clean. All right. Say to the person next to you, you can be clean. There ain't nothing that you've ever done on his son that God will not give you for. That heaven ought to hell with people. You accept God's son as your personal Savior. If you accept Jesus Christ, the words and terms that they use, as your Lord, if you accept the Word of God as your means of guidance today, not next week, tell me you gonna do it. I'm gonna stop smoking. I was on 5 packs, now I'm on 3. You still smoking? Well, you ain't did nothing like dropping down to 3 packs. Put down the whole pack. Stand up clean. Stand up with a new body. And when you put on this new body, put on an incorruptible body, y'all. Change the verse. An incorruptible body. You know what incorruptible means? That I can't be tempted no more. I can't be deceived no more. I can't be tricked no more. I can't be fooled no more. Because as I move with the Spirit of God. I got on my armor now. I got a purpose. I found out something, y'all. I found out I'm God's child. I'm not just in God's congregation. I'm just not one of the people in the nation. I'm not one of the things that ever looted from Homo erectus. I am his own. Therefore, when I say, my Father, not his our Father, who art in heaven, is now personal. I can say, Daddy. I need some strength. I need some help, Daddy. I feel myself getting weak. I need to start to bend again, Daddy. I need your touch. I sometimes need your rod. I need you to look at me. I need you to judge me. I need you to shake me up a little bit. Tell me to get ready to mess up, son. So I get ready to get in the car because I know that nigga in there smokes marijuana. I know that nigga in there does the wrong thing. I'm not going to get it. I walk first. If I can't make it, I won't make it. But I'm not stepping inside there and take this new body and get it soiled in your sin. I ain't hanging with you. I ain't going to the party to take hangies with you. I ain't doing that no more. You know why? Because that's the sign of the chill for you. Right. You are your father. For what? Love. Say it again. Love. Say it to yourself. Love. Say it to someone else. Love. You will do. And then you'll come back and lie. Oh man, you'll come home and you say, honey, I smell a funny gun perfume. It ain't one of the perfumes that's in my jar. It smells so funny. Who you was with? You know, he said, well, actually, I was in the mall. And I was walking along and they were testing me. And that woman sprayed me. Well, do you believe that woman sprayed me? I said, woman, don't be spraying me. She said, your wife would like that. I smelled it. Here, dear smell. See, I said, you don't like this. No, I don't like that. So don't be spraying me. Now you can come and boast the things. Now you're lying. Now you belong to the family of death. Now you have no uncle. You have no head. And you are now corruptible. It's hard to walk that path. But God is a merciful, compassionate, loving God. You follow that? Yes. You know what he said? I'm going to shorten the days. What kind of miracle what more of a miracle can you ask for but for you to watch a clock and watch God still time out the clock so that you'll make it?
I almost dropped my damn food. Then I just got through talking about that shit. Then I just get through telling y'all about that. This shit crazy, bro. I'm tired of this shit, bro. Then they keep doing this shit, bro. How he be doing that? I just was talking about that.
In the days, what kind of miracle what more of a miracle can you ask for but for you to watch a clock and watch God still time out the clock so that you'll make it?
I'll get some of that shit.
I'm doing the same thing. God didn't remove, he didn't shorten the time so we can stop sinning. He didn't gave us the signs in the sky. Babylon the Great is hard. I mean, their best, I was just talking about that in the car, their best artisans are falling. Their best comedians are dying. Their best military men are dying. And the highest of their hoes, Linda Lovelace, has died. Some of y'all know what I'm talking about. You shouldn't, but she died. I ain't going to the party to chase hangies with you. I ain't the children. Boy, you're like, what? I said, they're not over there in the city bombing because, what's the Yasa is in that city? Not the Church of Nativity. The Church of Nativity ain't got nothing to do with the Muslim prophets. Other than it happens to be in that same city on the side. I was there. Nowhere near it. I'll tell you why we get Daniel. Thessalonians chapter 2. What they did is they waited until Yasser Arafat was out of the church and bombed it. So they wanted to bomb it. But they would have bombed it while Yasser Arafat was in there, still in captivity. They could have started a world war because they went around and see, when Colin Powell went to the east, so God said in Matthew 24, don't go to the east. He went on to the east anyway. He didn't go to Jerusalem. He went to every Arab country and got first. He said, do I have your support? Do I have your support? And he would have been sure that he had all Arab support. He would have went to Jerusalem and killed Yasser. But why is he doing that? So the plan is on killing Yasser. To wipe him out the way. Why? Because they need the Temple Mount. They need the Temple Mount. Why do they need the Temple Mount? Because according to the book of Thessalonians chapter 1, the son of petition got to come. He has to come when the Temple of Solomon has been rebuilt. But not by the hands of man, but by the hands of Jesus. They say they'll try the temple on their feet. They're going to build that temple in 3.5 years. Then he won't sit the devil's son on this. Not the devil's son. Because everybody got the mistaken thing that Lucifer is the devil. Lucifer is not the devil, Lucifer is the son of the devil. The devil is far more fair. He calls him right now Isaiah the son of the morning. The son of Shakar. Shakar, you can find on the tablets if you take the time to do some research and look up the word Shakar, you'll find there was a being called Shakar, who's the father of Lucifer, whose name is not even Lucifer, his name is Samael. That, if you wasn't looking at the Bible in English, you wouldn't even see the word Lucifer. They say, well, that means torchbearers, and that's why Freemasons are Satanists within the light. Well, actually, the word is not there. Lucifer. In Hebrew language, the word is Hilalion. Hilalion is there. And it has to do with the Christian movement. You follow? And being the Jews and all of them, and Christians all follow the soul and the council, all of y'all worshiping Lucifer. Because after you are going to church on Sunday, that ain't Sunday, so ain't D-A-Y day. You pretend it's Sunday, but you're really going on Sunday. So you ain't worshiping the Son, you worshiping the Son. And if I tell you that, you call me something crazy. But Jesus said they're going to do that when you tell the truth. They're going to attack you with the truth. They don't know what day and time we're in. They're there and we're here. We got to carry this word out. But we got to wake up, you lost sheep of the house of Israel, the tribe of Judah. We got to get that ignorance from in front of you. We got to get you out of the church and put you back in the synagogue. Because Jesus said they're going to drive you out of your synagogues. We got to get you back in the law. Because when we're in the law and under the law, we're under the protection of God. Because God laid down the law. Remove the law, you remove God's protection. I'm going to tell you women, men don't want you keeping the law. Ain't nothing more aggravating than a religious wife. Well, there ain't going to be no pork chops in the Bible. From Leviticus chapter 11, verse 7, it says, children of Israel, don't touch it. Don't go near it. Don't approach it. Be it. God made the law. You might not like where it sounds, and you might have the light bulb. Right? Hell, I like getting drunk too. It just ain't nothing. It just ain't nothing. God tells us in the 31st Proverbs, do not get drunk. He doesn't say don't drink. He said do not drink strong drink. Don't drink whiskey. You're allowed to drink wine, but kosher wine for Shabbat. Today when the Sabbath is broken. See? But if niggas want to go get drunk, you say, I'm getting drunk. Sweating already in us. You're pouring spirit on top of spirit, and you get intoxicated. Now, I'm going to say something you all know is true. It ain't racist, that's true. A white man will drink circles around me and you. They can guzzle down alcohol and beer, 30, 40 cans a day. You can lay on your back. You 6 months to get up. Why? Because when it ferments, they call it what? Ether. So they got 3 more ethers less than you. So they're sent to you 7, 8, and 9. And the highest number is what? You got all the ether in you need. You and I don't have to smoke or drink to get high. We get high on some of the wildest things. And feel good. It's all watching the world. So the devil needs to get out the way so that they can take the Temple Mount called Aqsa. And the Muslims can't do a thing about it. I'm a Muslim my whole life. Travel all over the world and speak the languages. They can't do nothing. Most Muslims don't have a clue what the Quran says. They don't have a clue. They're not reading it in the right language. The teachers can't speak the language. All these imams walk around with perfume on and beards and stuff. Y'all know me. They used to come marching over the Bush Garden. I said, before we get into any conversations, testify you was there. That's true. Before we get into any conversation, imam or whoever you are, can you speak Arabic? We're going to debate in Arabic. We're not debating in English. We're going to debate the Quran and the Hadith in Arabic. Can you handle it? Well, I don't speak fluent Arabic. Can you ain't ready to debate with me? Go and talk to one of my sons. Man, I hate that imam.
I was just somebody.
When the Hebrew Israelites came out, I said, all right. Can you debate in Hebrew? Because if we're going to debate the Tanakh in Hebrew, the Mishnah, the Torah, can you do it? No. Go talk to one of my sons. Because you ain't ready for me. And now I'm talking to Christian preachers.
How would you say
Are you ready for the truth? Or you want this superficial, fake form of Paulite Christianity? Or do you want to know what Yeshua HaMashiach really was teaching? You want to be a part of the real family of God, which is in your blood? Or do you want to be some fake Paulite Greek Christian? The word Christian, Jesus didn't know. He never heard the word. You call Jesus Christian, he would look at you like, what the heck? But if you call him a Galilean, you know. If you call him a Nazareth, he would know. If you call him a Hebrew, he would know. If you call him Ben Israel, or Ben Yehuda, Judah, or Israel, he would know. If you call him a Christian, a Protestant, a Baptist, a Lutheran, Seventh-day Adventist, Catholic, Jehovah's Witness, Mormon, these would know what you're talking about. You start calling him the Holy Spirit, you say what? The Holy Spirit. What? What's that? The Holy Spirit. You couldn't even explain the Holy Spirit to Jesus. In fact, if you said Jesus, he would know what you're talking about. He would think you was talking about the Roman god Zeus. Because that's what that word means. You understand me? But you are God's chosen people. And God is tumbling the world down for you. Every day. You know, right? I mean, you don't think you that important. You don't really think you that important. Let me tell you how important each one of y'all in this room is. You won the race of races. I don't mean race of races in race. I mean race of races. Everybody here wish they could have won the Olympics. If you didn't win the ultimate Olympics, you wouldn't be here. You know what I'm talking about? If just in case you don't, let me just up you. When your dad ejaculated in your mouth, you were one of 7,700,777 sperm cells that went from the ovary. Now check it out, medically. And guess why you're here? Because you won. Down here, up in the front over there, could y'all two step up over there and stand up for me, please? You two. Who else? You know what I'm talking about. Just these two right here. Both of them got there. Which in birth time will drop down to fraction of 7. One was like 1, like, no, you ain't. But you were queued out. Each one of you in this room who thinks you're nobody of no importance to God, you were queued out to make it. You won the ultimate race and then give up on life. You become wrong. After I talk about stuff you can't do. You want to follow the footsteps of failures. Want to go to parties and spend your money and spend long hours in a dark room with a lot of noise because you hope some guy notices your tits. Can I talk to you too much? Walk around with a pen and paper and hope someone asks you for your number. In case he don't have it, you got it. Get out 4 or 5 numbers in one night. That's the harlot that's riding the beast. Because we have been seduced by the devil into living in the image of the beast. If you study the history of the Canaanites, you find out the Canaanites are the Sodomites. And the Gomorrahites. They're the mothers and fathers of all the degradation in the world. And you and me have got addicted to it. The same way you can get addicted to drugs, you're addicted to sex. Yeah. Let me tell you your problem. You with me, y'all? Yeah. Let me tell you one of your problems. Black women in America have been told that they are ugly. They didn't have to be verbally said, you're ugly. The media did it. You understand? The media removed the approval of your man from you by putting women out there with an image that they want to portray as ugly. I'm sorry, as beautiful, and thus leave you ugly. You went to Nigeria, people in Nigeria look ugly to people in America. Or they say, oh, we both are ugly. And Halle Berry is different. They put that inside us. That's nothing the image of the beast. They gave the image of the beast life. I explained that before. When he took a picture, Michelangelo, Leonardo da Vinci, and drew the first picture of Jesus and God as a white man. Reaching down and touching like this, you know that picture. When they reach down like this and God will be touching Jesus, and they're laying down nude looking like that. They put that in your mind. Oh, they do that. And they remove the beauty from black women. So you don't feel beautiful. You know what you got to do now? You got to go out to get the approval of men. You know how you get it? By tightening your pants. Because you got a big butt. So you know somebody says, hey, that's... Have you got pretty lips? Thank you. You shop your lip, you line your lip like shoe look. Toilet paper in a bra. Yeah? You know, all y'all that went swimming with that toilet paper. Y'all know what happens when you go swimming with that toilet paper. You don't go into the bus and you come out.